Make sure you watch Type 40 or the universe will crash on you.
Hey, time for Type 40 Live. We're your live stream Doctor Who show, materializing here on the Spacebook channel, whatever time stream or time zone it is you're joining us from. A big old welcome. Yeah, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screen in real time with our brand of pan-galactic content and conversation and everything else in between here on YouTube and Facebook and across all major podcatchers too. As always, in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Yeah, this is Type 40 Live, where we talk about the world's longest running, best loved sci-fi and fantasy TV show and the whole Whoniverse around it, both on and off screen. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. There I am, and there you are too. Wow, lots of messages already from a jumping live chat. That's great to see. We will get to you in a couple of minutes, I promise, once I get my mouth into gear and everything starts to drop into place. In some ways, it's been a quiet week out there in the Whoniverse, but there's still a lot to talk about, lots to catch up on with an assortment of fellow Time Lords. We're going to drag them on and, probe them too. Brace yourselves. A couple of them. Yeah, a couple of them have gone already. No, they'll come back. They'll come back. Yeah, to get stuck into whatever nonsense we've managed to pull from the vortex. If you're watching over there on Facebook, don't forget, hit that little blue link. If you don't, we can't find out who you are. We just get Facebook user pop up. That's not very nice, is it? So yeah, hit the little blue link and Facebook tells StreamYard who you are and StreamYard tells us. Everybody gets on first name terms. It is absolute and total bliss as we all chill out in the console room. As always, a lovely glow to that one. It's a lovely, lovely glow. And I've got several people to bring on to fill it all up. First of all, I'm happy to say she's here. She's I don't think she's flickering. She's stabilized, or as stable as she'll ever be. Sheffield's very own. There's a clue. The one, the only. Sarah Graham, starry-eyed girl.
How rude. How rude. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. He's been insulting us all in the back today. He's in a very playful mood today, aren't you?
I am. I'm playful as a kitten. I am. I think it could be because we're in the front of the roaring glow here of the Capaldi TARDIS. There, a bit of a favourite of yours, I think. Harkens back to a favourite here, isn't it? When we first met, really, was when all this was kicking off, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Yeah, I do have such fond memories of series, and that lighting. Oh, it's just gorgeous.
Where do you stand on the bric-a-brac? Would you, if you were his companion, would you get him to tidy up those books and put the candles away and stop playing that bloody guitar? Would you have zero?
No, I loved it all. I loved all the candles and all atmospheric. It's big enough. It's big enough for all his paraphernalia.
Luxurious. It's more than big enough. But is it mega enough? I think I know how we can mega it up with his tutting already. Anybody think he doesn't like my intros? Ian, what's up with tutting?
We're back. We're back.
I'm a very, very silly boy. Good evening, mate. Good to see you. How's your week been? All right?
Tiring, as always.
Tiring.
bloody working all the time. Madness. But,
Oh.
I'm
Yeah,
saving up
work,
so I can
rest.
get a rocket to fly to another planet. When
Oh, you're going
Doctor Who starts.
I thought you were going to go full Elon on us then for a moment.
Well, I'm talking to him at the moment. See if I can go to Mars. Stay there.
Get him for a walk-on part in Rebecca Gold 2. That's like the award-winning web series. Yeah, tempt him with that one.
Yeah.
Should be no problem at all. Should be no problem at all. And it's very, very colourful, as you can see. Ian, we've got the bright green there, and Simon Horton in being the style icon of the West Midlands. I think he's dressed very much to match.
Yeah, except I'm kind of worrying. I'm clashing now with the green. You know what I mean? It's.
I love that jacket. It's
Very snazzy young man.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you've got to do it. Haven't you? You're only young once. No, actually, I'm not young anymore. That's the problem.
No, that's
Oh,
no.
yes, you
Never say
are.
that. Never say that.
Never
We
grown
are.
up. I'm not intending to grow up anytime soon. So
We are
the
retro.
dude,
We are
the dude with
retro.
the earring, Ian. That's very cool.
and I've got a mug to match. Look at this. I
Look
do.
at that. See, look at that coordination.
I've got a mug.
Cheers. Well, we better not be caught drinking, because we're about to bring in absolute royalty, Type 40 live royalty at least, with our very own Queen Charlotte Shields. So lovely to have you back.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. How are you?
Good. I've had a bit of a rest this week, so I'll be back to work next week. So it's been nice.
That was a
No
much
kids.
more relaxed hello everybody than we usually get.
No
So you can
kids.
tell.
Chilled out
kids.
Charlotte. Yes. So what do you make of all this then, Charlotte? Are you one for clutter? What do you think about this with the old 12th
I
Doctor?
think that was just the right amount of clutter in Capaldi's TARDIS. It wasn't like really messy that you thought, oh God, but it was just the right amount of personality that it definitely made you think of his Doctor.
It's a nice TARDIS. I like it. It's colourful.
Yeah, I like that. I have to be honest. I mean, everybody knows that I really want white roundels back, but that's that is by far. I think this is by far the best new Who TARDIS that we've ever had, undoubtedly for me.
I agree. And yes, I would co-sign on the white roundels. But I like the idea that the Doctor could sort of litter it with various things. Because if your environment, if your home is dimensionally transcendental, you haven't got to worry, have you, about finding shelf space? Because there's always extra space to find when you've got something that is dimensionally transcendental. And some of us, we may hope that we can make our homes full of all of our bric-a-brac, all of our books, all of our objet d'art and tat. We all fill it up with probably more than we should. If only we could, we had something transcendental, dimensionally transcendental, maybe an accessory, something like a handbag, would you say? We could fit all manner of stuff in there. Well, our guest for the week, he's got that. I'm not sure if he's got it with him, come to think of it, but I'm going to ask him all about it anyway. I want to know where on earth the Geeks handbag gets his handbag from. Welcome, Adam, the Geeks handbag himself, to Type 40 Live.
Hello, everybody. Great
Hello.
to meet you.
Hello, Adam. Great to
Oh,
see you.
that was
Welcome to
one
Type
heck of
40.
a build-up there. That
It was, wasn't
Yeah, we don't get a build-up like that, do we, anymore, Sarah?
No.
So
He's
you're
used to
saying-
us now.
Take them
That's
for
the problem.
granted.
So yeah, Adam, you're here at last. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. You're here, but you're not here in Britain, are you? You are British, but you are abroad at the moment. You're travelling yourself, aren't you?
I am British. Yeah, it's funny you talk about clutter because I know everything there is about clutter. My house back in the UK literally is crammed to the hilt with clutter. So this is very basic. In fact, I was aware you all have your little Doctor Who things behind you, and I was like, what can I put behind me? And all I've got is these American Region 1 Doctor Who DVDs. That's all I've got.
Good enough.
That's all? Yeah, I mean, that's the only
You've got a cool T-shirt on. That's a cool T-shirt.
Yeah, it's one of my faves, this. It's one of my
sterling,
faves.
it's a sterling effort, Adam. We do appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
do
Thank you,
appreciate
Dan.
like that.
This is the Daleks. It goes down very well on this panel. So people who don't know who you are, who haven't seen you before, you've had various social media accounts, haven't you, for a long, long time, a YouTube channel, all under the name The Geeks Handbag. So how did that all start, and where did you come by the name?
I was trying to think about this because I honestly can't remember. I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I wanted to connect with like Doctor Who fans back in I don't know, whenever I started it.
But that's a dangerous thought in itself.
Well, things have changed, Dan. I mean, back when I started my YouTube channel, there was quite a good vibe around Doctor Who, and that seems to have splintered a bit. There still is a great vibe, but yeah, it's definitely different from when I started YouTube. But so I just had this idea of, I was trying to think of a gimmick, because YouTube's all about grabbing someone's attention. So I just thought, if I had a magical bag that was bigger on the inside, I could constantly pull out products to review, and it's as simple as that. I just thought, that's a gimmick. It could be something I can pull it out. And in my early videos, I would pull something stupid out as a joke, like a banana first, go, oh no, that's not it, and dig in there and then pull out
rubber chicken. I hope you've done the rubber chicken.
I haven't got a rubber chicken, but that's a good one, and I will remember that. I will use that.
Rank amateur here we go.
I've only been going 10 years and I haven't done the chicken, so I will definitely do that. But so that's kind of how it started out. Yeah.
So it's a bit like Mary Poppins with the big old bag then that she's got. She brings out the lamp and everything else.
That's it. Yeah, that was kind of the idea behind it. Yeah, it's falling apart a bit, and I haven't got it with me, Dan. I don't. Contrary to popular belief, I don't carry the handbag around with me because it's falling apart.
Good night, then.
You're shouting.
Thanks for talking about the bag, but I'm off. But the other thing was, it was kind of inspired by Ace's jacket, because the handbag is covered in badges. I think Simon noticed.
Oh yeah,
he had his eye, didn't you, Simon? On the
I did, on the Blue Peter
badges. Yeah, so it's covered in badges, and that's kind of inspired.
Well, just here, Geek, to just go well.
It would actually. It would, Simon, yeah.
I'm just saying.
We'll see.
It's why you wore that jacket tonight. Just for you.
It's a lovely jacket. It's a lovely jacket. Yeah. But I did actually genuinely win one of those badges. So I've got 3 on the bag. I genuinely won one of them. And
what did you win it for? Can you tell us what you won it for?
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember when Mark Curry was on it. There was a Lego statue that he knocked the head. Sorry,
86, 87, 85.
Probably. Yeah, around that time. Do you remember there was this Lego statue and he touched it and the head fell off? It was like a blooper that went. So I drew a picture of Mark Curry knocking the Lego man's head off as a child. It was a really bad picture. Sent it in, and about 6 months later, literally forever afterwards, this badge turned up. So I finally got one, but that's what it was for sending in a drawing that was really bad. So I mean, I was quite young then, so it's really bad. But
I don't just remember the episode where Mark Curry knocked off the head. I remember your drawing as well. I was
no, you don't.
I remember that being on.
Got a clip.
I was going to say.
I'd love it if you had a clip.
I'll try and get one for the next time that I'll try and get one for the next time that you're on.
Hang on, I'll recreate it now. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll get it done by the end of the stream.
While Adam's doing that, furiously scribbling away there, we're going to go and connect and see who's hanging around there within the corridors of the TARDIS over in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook, because people have turned out to see us and to share their Doctor Who week with us too. So let's go and check out what they're up to. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for rolling in for this edition of Type 40 Live here. And we're working our way back and back and back through a jumping comment section. Just give me a moment. I'm sure we'll get there. It's a bit like time traveling, all in its own. Very localized time traveling here. We've got, who have we got? We've got one from you. We've got one from all of you, actually. I think there's one from Sarah. One from I can't wait to get started. Look, this is Simon's here too. And, brilliant stuff. We have Derek McManus is here with a good evening, everyone. It's very, very proper. Derek, it's not like you. Ahoy, shipmates.
Ahoy, Crimbly.
Ahoy.
That's one of those.
Say without that, would it? Wouldn't be the
same. No, it really wouldn't.
Good evening, all. Offers Peter Harrington with not one, not two, but 3 doctors, Sarah. Check this out. What a flash bastard.
Nice.
Peter also wants to know whether my jacket was cerise pink. It is cerise. I think we're calling it cerise. Yeah.
Another fashion icon, Charlotte. We've got to up our game, haven't we? I don't know.
Hello, yes.
Everyone. Hello, everyone from Vanessa Law. We do hope you're feeling better this week. Poor Vanessa. She had a bad back last week. And more to the point, not only was she poorly, but she had to miss the show live. So the poor lamb. Good to have you back, Vanessa. I hope you're feeling a lot better. Who else is here? Let's have a look. We've got, I'll come to that one. We've got Gary Akers dropping truth bombs in the chat. We'll come back to that when we get to it, I think. Evening one and all, says Garbage.
Hi,
Garbage.
Hello, Garbage.
Hi, Garbage.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Richard Brooks is here too. We've got lots of Ahoyers. It's going all around the console room here with everybody. It's
Hi, Richard.
very thorough. Very thorough.
Hi, Richard.
Gristle, it's still throbbing, says Peter Harrington. But, hey?
What are you referring to?
There's a few of those in the chat.
Peter, don't worry.
The night is young. The night is young. Vanessa says, be right back. Hello to everyone that I've missed, she says. What else? Paul Murray's here. Hi, Paul. Good to see you there, mate. I think Paul's had a birthday, so belated happy birthday to you, Paul.
Happy birthday. We should have added him in the diary.
Gary Akers as well. He's had a birthday as well.
He has
Yes,
indeed,
it's Gary's birthday. Birthday for yesterday, Gary. Hope you've sobered up now, my friend. Woodhouse 122 is here.
Somebody get the phone.
An evening all and yes, it's not me. It's not me.
I swapped it all over again.
Sorry.
Simon Ashley says, evening all. Paul Murray asks, any news on season 20?
Not yet, Paul. Not yet. But I'm sure it's in the pipeline. I'm sure it's imminent. Days away.
Clarify for what we're referring to there, Simon. What do you think, Paul?
What we're referring to is the Blu-ray, the season 20 Blu-ray, which Paul was actually asking in the Type 40 Facebook page as well. We're still waiting to hear, but I'm not in any doubt that season 20 will be released this year. Stay tuned.
It does seem, well, yeah, we've been under starters orders with this for a long time, haven't we? Because special features were filmed a long time ago. Do you find room in the Geeks handbag there for the Blu-ray sets, Adam? Do you buy those?
They're one of my favourite things, Dan, to be honest. I do get moaned at for double dipping. My partner's constantly like, why are you buying it? You've already got it. But the extra features and I think the amount of new material that they put on them is definitely worth buying. And I love them. I really do. And this season 20 seems to have been drifting around forever. Like Simon said, it's got to be next, I think. Yeah.
It's the worst kept secret, I think, in Doctor Who fandom. The sense on the way. Mark Strickson, I think Peter Davison's also spoken about it. So we all know it's coming. So maybe that's why they know that we know.
It's really weird as well that Peter is the only one that we've only got one box set released for. Everybody else has got multiple box sets released by now. Even Colin Baker, bless him. And Peter's only got one.
Also, it's less work, isn't it? Because with the old ones, they have to do more work to it to make it look better. But with Peter's one, really,
Well, they've got to do more in the way of restoring pictures, is what you're talking about. It's tougher to do. I think it wasn't there something about there was a hold up with season 20 because they were struggling to get Mark Strickson in the country at the right time and blah blah blah. I think that's what
the extras were in a state of flux. There was various things he was yet to record, and I think a commentary as well. We've got the Primord Infectant here with a simple hi.
Hi, Primord Infectant. Stay tuned for the diary later. That's all I'm going to say.
We're getting better at this, aren't we? What do you think? This professionalism here, isn't it? The Darren Zone's here. Hey, Darren, good to see you. Hail from the valleys. Good stuff. And Grand Moff Miranda too with a hi there. Hi, Miranda.
Hello, Miranda.
Yeah, Lord Thoth. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Lord Thoth.
That's a good name, isn't it? Lord Thoth.
It's a great one.
Because he's a lord.
A lord of time and space, no less. As is Colin Archer, or Archer Colin, with an evening, folks. The much respected.
Yes, there is nothing wrong with Sheffield. I'm from Sheffield. Just because we had a bit of a dodgy era. Don't blame it on Sheffield.
Just because you had a bomb dropped on you in Threads, sweetheart.
Gary Akers says, yes, Sheffield, home of the multi-use Sonic. Got a very good memory, hasn't he, Gary?
Don't bring that up again.
Bad memories.
Miranda says Mega Geek is here now, so it's super classy. He does bring that element of suave cool to the panel, doesn't he? We usually bring tightness to the panel. You usually bring a takeaway.
I do, but I've been so tired. I mean, I just got water. That's all I've got. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know it's not good.
Are you in one of those eatings for wimps phases? You know, you've got all
Shouldn't eat so much. That's the thing. I'm going to get fat. Not good. Not good.
Well, according to Peter Harrington, a Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play, Ian. So that could be sound advice.
That's a good idea. I think I've got one in the fridge.
Ice cream Mars bars, those are fab.
Yeah, lovely.
Another fan of the jacket here, Simon, with Miranda there.
There you go.
Thank you, Miranda.
And
I'm still waiting, by the way. Don't forget, David Tennant, if you're watching, I am still waiting for that blue jacket that you wore recently. You won't need it now. You can never wear it again in public. So what's the point of keeping it? Send it over
Exactly.
here.
I'm sure he sent it already.
I'm sure it's in the post. It's in the post.
Do you think that he picked it up from TK Maxx, kept the label in the back, tucked it down, then took it back to TK Maxx the next morning?
No.
You think? Adam's laughing. You've done that, mate.
Yeah, I liked his. His David Tennant was at a convention recently. A very cool blue top with what looked like a sort of joke
question
mark. But I think it was actually Loch Ness. People were saying actually it's the Loch Ness monster. But that was a cool T-shirt. So David, if you're watching, you could send Simon the jacket. I'll have the T-shirt. No need to bother going back to the shops.
Well, David, he does watch the show, but he's a bit, I hate to sound a bit prejudiced here, but he is a Scot. He's a bit tight. It's just the postage, you see. The postage that's why he's not sent any of this stuff in, you see. The warped eyebrow adds, Ian, I can't believe you've confronted the Dalek at the convention the other day. It was a very convincing Dalek. Now, so you've been out and about, haven't you? You've been Type 40's roving reporter this week. Where were you and what was going on?
Oh, look at you, cool dude.
Still wearing the same T-shirt.
Is it standing up on its own now?
Yeah, it's been that busy. It's not had time to change.
This was the
where were you?
MC what thing? Comic Con. It was like the biggest one they do every year. It was huge. I'm telling you, there were so many people. There was absolutely ridiculous. You couldn't.
There's too many people at those things, Ian, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
I used to go to the one in Birmingham, and I stopped going because it just got unbearable.
But they did have a really nice section, the Doctor Who section, which was really, really well done. They had Davros, they had Daleks, they had the chained up Dalek from Dalek, the episode Dalek. They had, they had Ood, they had Weeping Angels and stuff, and there were loads of cosplay Doctor Who people there. So it was a lot of fun because my nieces always dragged me to this stuff because they were dressed like South Park and and everybody wanted to take pictures with them and stuff like that. So it's basically for the fans. This was, and there were a couple of people signing stuff. Alison Doody was there, and and a couple of stars was there.
That's the woman from Indiana Jones, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's mainly for the fans. A load of fans get together and stuff, and you know what I mean. So people remember me for the last one as well. And actually,
that's the burning question, Ian. Did anybody recognise you from Time 40?
Wow.
Yes, 2 people.
Hey,
one little kid that was dressed like Matt Smith and he had the fez on.
Brilliant.
He recognised me, and a woman that was dressed like a Weeping Angel recognised me as well.
Brilliant.
Quite interesting. So we're kind of getting out there. So, but they do have a section for YouTubers. They had a section for YouTubers.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, they do now. So they're doing that now. So that's who knows? If we pass million subscribers,
we need to stop going to conventions and doing that.
Absolutely. So there you go.
I couldn't agree more. So there you were at MCM Comic Con getting spotted. It's good stuff, Ian. Good stuff. I'm glad you had some fun, and I know that your nieces, they kind of went low level viral, didn't they, with their cosplays? Must have been a good day out. Must have been a good day out. Got a question here from Simon Ashley, who says a rumor doing the rounds apparently is that they were thinking of bringing Tom Baker back as the 9th Doctor, sort of David Tennant style. Now as we got him, instead of Eccleston. That's one for the conspiracy theorists. Well, Simon, it isn't a conspiracy. That's true. I remember that. It's not a rumor. It's true.
Is it?
Am I the only one who remembers this? Adam, do you remember this?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it does sound familiar. Yeah, I think I remember reading it in the like the tabloids around about the time. Yeah.
Because Russell was attached to Doctor Who from late 1999 onwards. People forget this. He was speaking to the BBC from late 1999, and so they had early discussions. And the project was originally called Doctor Who 2000. That was the kind of working title for it. And yeah, it is quite. I wouldn't say it's common knowledge, but it's certainly documented that yes, during those early discussions, because they had some discussions, and then they all went off and looked at money and looked at schedules and look at this, and then they came back with obviously different ideas and different proposals, I suppose, as to what and how and when. So that's locked in true. I think it was a very fleeting discussion. It was one of like lots of ideas they spitballed about in one meeting. So I wouldn't say it was like a hard and fast thing and they were talking to Tom's agent or anything, but it is true. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Simon. Simon, yes, it was Simon.
Learn something new every day. This show just keeps on delivering, doesn't it?
Yeah, people say to me all the time, I'm glad I saw you the other day. That taught me a lesson. Wendology's here and says, good evening all. Hi,
Wendy.
And chat, leaving nobody out there. As always, a round welcome from Wendy. Who else? Keep the comments coming, everybody. Oh, this is how you know it's going well, because it's jumping. Jumping is bad news for me, good news for you. It means we've got a nice packed chat there. Because, yeah, I'm surprised, actually, because I don't know what it's like the weather where you are at the moment, Adam. It's probably quite nice and toasty, isn't it?
It is quite nice, yeah. It is.
It's even nice here at the moment. Doctor Who actors have been out and about showing off, sitting out there in the summer sun, including Sylvester McCoy there at the right. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. They're waiting for his train to come in there. But it's lovely.
Nobody told him it was behind him. Nobody told him. It's behind him.
How can a locomotive creep up on anybody? I don't know. Yeah, so there's Sylvester, and he's not the only one. So we've also got this one now. David Bradley, who is I count him as a doctor. He's played the Doctor in Doctor Who. Therefore, and twice now. So he is a doctor. A lot of people are very fond of him, and he's a very, I'd say he's a respected actor, Sarah, David Bradley, after all these years, all those movies and TV shows and theatre productions, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a national treasure. Well, international now after Game of Thrones and Harry Potter and then Doctor Who, yeah.
And The Hobbit.
The Hobbit, yeah.
I'd say so too. So,
and he was in Harry Potter. Like my generation knew him as Filch.
Oh yeah. I mean, arguably, he's got more famous as he's got older.
I suppose he has. Yeah, he's just turned 80 a couple of months ago, but he's been caught on camera and encouraged to sort of play along with the Doctor Who 60th anniversary nonsense. Really, we don't know if we're going to get to see him again later this year. I'd say the odds are against it, but we do get him in character as the Doctor, albeit with a bit of extra facial fungus. Check this out.
Sound?
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody else got sound.
Looks good, though.
I didn't get sound.
Okay. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
That's it. That'll
Edit it out, Dan. It's fine. Nobody will notice.
that'll teach me to try and do something a different way. Hold on, I'll get it the other way. I'll do it the way that I usually do it. 1 second. Just sing to yourselves, and it'll.
I think we've got a guest for the first time.
We can't sing. If we sing, we'll get taken down by YouTube.
That's true, especially with my voice, Simon.
Because I can hear. Because I can hear the sound. You see.
I shall come back. Until that time, there must be no regrets.
Oh,
yeah, no sound and no picture now.
1 moment.
Just go forward.
It was going so well.
One moment.
Because I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Okay.
Just reacted ourselves.
Okay. Wait a moment.
I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until that time, there must be no regrets, no tears. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I'm not mistaken. Hey?
So there's David Bradley having fun there. Finally, finally having fun. And I just love the idea that people like Dylan there. Dylan is on Twitter as Doctor Who 2 Hot for TV, which I don't think is as dirty as it sounds, but it's. But I like the idea that he bumped into him. I think they were working together. I think that Dylan may be an extra or a runner or work on some production or something, and he just sort of got the camera on David there, and he instantly played along there, Simon, and delivered not a bad version of the classic Hartnell speech, didn't he, from the end of Dalek Invasion?
Yeah, I mean, at least he did it pretty much word for word, so he clearly knows it. So that's interesting. The fact that he managed to do that. So yeah, good on him.
And I liked the fact that he was even doing that. You could tell he was trying to do the holding the lapels.
Yeah,
tugging on his lapels and things. Yeah. So I do wonder, because we live in the age now, don't we, where we've all got these devices on us all the time, haven't we? Where we take pictures, and we can call anybody we like, but we can record audio depending on the kind of device that you've got, and video too. I mean, Ian, you recorded some video for us at the London Comic Con, didn't you? So that's a good example. But for some of these actors, it also means that they can have the cameras turned on them at any time, Adam. And you think, well, some of them, they may find that quite intrusive, may not be game for it. You can understand why they'd say, no, this is my craft, this is my day job. I'm out shopping at Iceland or something. I don't want to give you a blast of, I don't know, a Zygon or whoever I was.
I don't think anybody wants a blast of a Zygon.
David Bradley was game. I just think it's lovely when we see things like that.
He comes across really well, doesn't he, David Bradley? I met him once very briefly at one of the Showmasters events, and I absolutely adored an Adventure in Space and Time. I thought it was a really beautiful drama. So whenever I meet a celebrity, even if it's at a convention, I often find myself lost for words. I never really know what to say to them, because you don't want to gush all over. Oh, you're wonderful, you inspire me. But with him, I actually had something to say. I said, I really, really enjoyed that drama, and I think it's well written and blah blah blah. And he just was very humble and a really nice guy. And he's done a couple of videos like that, hasn't he? Do you remember the one where he went into a phone box and then came out and went, "Oh, it's the wrong bloody box"? Did you see that one? That was no. That was doing the rounds on Twitter for ages. Yeah, he seems like he's, just a genuinely nice guy, and he's looking a bit Captain Birdseye there with the big beard.
Perhaps he's in something, isn't he?
Perhaps he's playing Captain Birdseye.
He's in something. Yeah, he's probably in some film or something, isn't he? So.
Yeah, but the thing is, Dan, I'm such a fan of William Hartnell that really I feel like technically I shouldn't really like the fact, because I'm not one for the recast, especially with the Big Finish lately. They're doing so many recasts, and it kind of irks me, to be honest. And I love Hartnell's Doctor. So technically I feel like I shouldn't like him being recast by Bradley, but I feel like because he was in Adventure in Space and Time, and I loved that, and I loved his performance, somehow it eased the transition. Whereas I feel like if it had just been recast as Hartnell's Doctor, I don't think I would have taken to him as much as I have, because I do really like him. But I feel like I'm betraying Hartnell, because I absolutely love him, and I think he might be horrified if he knew he'd been recast, especially on the audios.
I think you could be right. It is a bone of contention with a lot of fans. You're very much not alone in that. Occasionally we do talk about it, and I don't believe the Big Finish would have made that decision lightly, and they probably know that it's not for everybody. But they do seem they are pushing on and doing some quite creative things, I suppose. Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's been 60 years. I like to think it's a sign that those characters endure in their own right. But I do understand why. I do understand your way of thinking. Absolutely. I mean, we're in the 60th anniversary, and obviously we're speculating a lot, probably ad infinitum, about what we could be getting, probably to ridiculous extents. I suppose that they're expecting us to get the people that we only got in the last special, Charlotte. That could be a bit of a foolish train of thought to get on, because there is only so much room on screen, isn't there? It's easier to get the Doctors together when there was 3 or 4 or 5 of them, but now 12, 30 to fill a screen with all these various incarnations and tell a coherent, a compelling drama. It probably is a tall order, isn't it?
Yeah, and also a lot of the new Who actors, the Doctors especially, have gone on to do really well. So it's not like you can just call them and go, "Can you just pop to Cardiff and do a bit of filming?" Like, you can't do that with the likes of Matt Smith now, or
he would do it, because he loves.
I'm just thinking of scheduling. That's all. Like,
he'll find a way. He'll find a way.
We hope so. We hope so.
I would die if he's in the 60th.
That would be the only good thing that's happened to Doctor Who this year. If he's in that, I'd be so over the moon if he's in that. I really would.
Do you know what I was hoping for in that extended trailer, the one we got before Eurovision, which Dan enjoyed from start to finish? But I was really hoping, because Russell had said that everything in that trailer is all from the first special. And so we still haven't seen anything from, the second two. I was really hoping we might just see someone straightening a bow tie. Just even like a 1 second clip would have been enough to break the internet. I would have gone mad, because Matt Smith is probably my favorite Doctor. I mean, I always say he's my new favorite Doctor since the show came back. I think he was just brilliant. And I think he'd be even better now because he's aged a little bit. And I would love to see Matt come back. I absolutely would love to see it.
Do you really think so? I mean, I don't mind. I liked him when he was young because inside he was old.
Oh no, absolutely.
And I think it doesn't really matter. That didn't even bother me that he looked so young.
No, it doesn't bother me. And do you know what, Ian? The bit that what's that?
I don't know. Some sound came from somewhere.
It's Matt Smith's agent. He's not in it. Do you know what amazes me about Matt's? You say about him being young when he filmed. You know, the bit I always think of is when the scene in the two-parter, what's it, the Silurian one, where he's doing the speech and the gun. I think it's the bit where Graham Norton ruined it with a caption at the bottom, but he's doing this speech holding a gun saying, he fires it.
And that's the Angels two-parter. Yeah, that's the Angels two-parter.
That's it. Yeah, that's the first episode he filmed, and I'm thinking, blimmin' heck, man, he is on fire doing that speech. And this is the first thing he filmed. So that just goes to show how good he was, even at that age, So I think
he had it locked down from the beginning. I completely agree. Just want to give a quick hello to the Whoniverse archive. Hello, everyone. The Black Archive here. So the Black Archive is it's a website and a Twitter account. And this is the gentleman who runs both. So it's good to have you there in the live chat under another pseudonym. The Whoniverse archive, is that sort of a catch-all thing that encompasses everything that you do?
I'm really intrigued by this. I've got to go and investigate what that is.
Yeah, it's a fabulous website.
The Black Archive.
High-res images, publicity images, all collected together from, I think he's gradually sort of filling in the gaps on everything classic and new Who. But it's a really easy-to-use website too. So it's great. It's a real boon to content creators too. So thank you for that, Black Archive and Whoniverse Archive. Glad to hear it, says Vanessa Law. This is the season 20 box set. I really need the 5 Doctors on Blu-ray. Join the club, Vanessa. Join the club. Hi, Facebookers, says Cyberman Strikes. We've still got people coming in. Don't mention Flux.
They're late.
This is Matthew Pounder. I don't know what you're talking about, mate, but you could probably get a pill from the doctor and sort that out in 3 or 4 days, I'd say. Hey, peeps, says Z3PO. And we've got garbage in here too. So I've been this picture. Let's do some real-time traveling now. And this picture's been sent into us by David Payne. He submitted this to the Type 40 Facebook group, and I thought it was so fantastic. We get it on screen. This is somewhere in London called Morden in the year 1960, and he thought it was a really good example of kind of real-life time travel and history changing before your eyes. Morden. So this is obviously one building being put up, being constructed, and another one, that pub, being demolished at the same time, with the police box there right in the foreground, as were commonplace. They'd have been commonplace in 1960 still, wouldn't they, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really interesting because, of course, what we're seeing going up behind there is one of those typical 1960s concrete blocks that we now absolutely hate and revile the whole time.
Hey, I still live in one of them.
What was the 1960s? Really?
Yeah, it was built in the 60s. Yeah.
Wow.
Brilliant.
There you go.
But I love the fact that we've got that. We've got these lovely little old quaint, very very sort of characterful pubs in the foreground, and then you got the TARDIS. It's 3 layers. That's brilliant. And no cars on the road. Look at that, 1 car.
Wow.
1 car.
If somebody said to me that was a clip from Doctor Who, made in the 60s. I would have believed it. I would believe it. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I remember that
as well.
episode, but
This is the kind of picture that I would now, I mean, strange as it may seem, this is the kind of thing that I would probably get a nice print of and get framed. Anything to do with the 1950s, post-war Britain in particular, I'm just really, really interested in it. So when I watch vintage television, like old episodes of The Saint or something like that, never mind what Roger Moore's doing in the foreground, I'm often looking in the background, Adam, and seeing what cars are driving around, what the shops look like, what street corners. If there is a police box, I do that all the time.
really?
Yes, I do as well. I love it. I love locations. I'm fascinated by how things change as well. Like that picture is gorgeous. I would love to see it now and then.
Well, apparently, according to Garbage and Richard Brooks in the chat, it is Morden Council's office, apparently, still, presumably. I don't know.
Wow.
So we must be able to just Google an image of Morden Council offices.
Well, you could do, but you could just stick around here and take a look at that thing.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
That is an
again,
ugly
thank-
building, though. You got to admit, it's quite ugly.
I've seen worse. I have to be honest, I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I was expecting. I'll be
No,
honest.
it isn't. I think that's actually quite futuristic. I have to be honest.
I reckon
love-
that's a spaceship in disguise. That's what.
I love the 1960s-ness of it. I gotta be honest, I'd rather the pub was there. That looks like a beautiful pub. But I do like 60s buildings like this. Again, we see buildings just like that in all those ITC shows from the 1960s. Department S, Randall Hocker, Prisoner. You know, in the introduction to The Prisoner, where he gets knocked out, he looks out of his window and he sees these gleaming tower blocks and things and offices around him. That's the kind of thing you would have seen then. So I do kind of like the 60s-ness, but yeah, I'd have preferred it with the police. They should have left the police box at least, Simon.
Yeah.
There was a show called The Fosters, which was on ITV with Lenny
Henry,
one of the Henrys.
yeah.
And in the beginning, they had my block. They had like a helicopter shot
Brilliant.
in my block,
Really?
Yeah. In the beginning. So
We need a photo of your block now. Cyberman Strike says it looks like International Electromatics. It does actually look like International Electromatics.
That's a pattern, isn't it?
Yeah.
We always end up with a load of things on this show, Adam, to make note of, to come back to later. Some of them we forget, some of them we remember. That's the name of the game, I suppose. Freezing in Brum, says Matthew Pounder.
Yeah.
It is. Matthew, I'm in Brum as well, as is Dan, and yeah, it is freezing.
Is it?
Cold.
Fine.
Yes.
Yeah, feels
Wow.
okay here.
It's warm today.
It's
Over in
freezing
London.
here.
Yeah, been quite warm today up north.
Usually it's cold up north and weird up north. Isn't it? There you go.
Now, before we move on, I asked people, because obviously it is kind of a quiet week in Doctor Who land. We're still waiting in an anniversary year on just 3 episodes later in 2023. Of course we are. And we haven't got a new Blu-ray set, as we've already established. So I've asked the guys, what are you doing? What are you watching? What are you doing? What's caught your eye? What's caught your ear? And Charlotte, you came back with this, didn't you? So this is a fan audio project, and we're going to play a little bit of the trailer now, and you can tell us why you wanted to bring this to our attention on this one. So hold on. Where is it? It's here. So check this out, everybody.
We'll have sound.
Okay.
Well, you know what they say. Nothing ventured.
Nothing gained. I'm worried, Nancy. It was all fun and games at first, but the more I dig deeper, the more questions I seem to uncover. Something just doesn't feel right.
Fan
Sounds a bit silly when I
audios.
put it
That's
like
the
that, doesn't it?
simple.
Oh, I'm Nancy Foster. And this is my companion, the Doctor.
Companion?
It works both ways, surely.
My whole life is being dictated by you. Do not tell me what I should do.
2 strangers descended down upon our village earlier.
Strangers? They must be savages, surely.
I am not so sure.
This strange.
It's got to be Big Finish, right?
Would just sweep over
No, it's not Big Finish. It's a fan audio.
They dropped
How
from
was
their
it?
cloud and hit us like hail.
They're a force of evil, one that comes to being wherever humanity lays its roots.
Oh,
The remnants of humanity, and the biggest danger I could have possibly dropped you in.
So, Charlotte, these are the latest trailers for new releases from this set of fans that are putting out audios. You listen to these?
Yeah, I found him on YouTube because he started off just doing normal like Doctor Who stuff, a bit like us just talking about it.
Yeah.
And then they've been doing it for about 5 years now, and then he started an audio series. And I find that if it's a fan thing, I find the audio is a bit easier because you can just go mad with the imagination. You'd have to try and make all the sets and do all that. So
yeah,
and I just found the production was really good. Like Ian said, like it makes you think of Big Finish just production wise. And I just find him a really convincing actor because he's actually an actor, Miles, who runs the channel and writes also some of the episodes. And I've just been listening to them for about, like I said, it's series 5 is what they're starting to make now.
Wow.
So they have been doing it for quite a few years.
And Charlotte, do they? Is he the Doctor? Is he named as the Doctor? Are they using actual character names, or do they?
Yeah, he's the Doctor. He plays his Doctor.
So they talk about a TARDIS, for example. They actually.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't know whether they sort of went completely safe copyright-wise, or whether they just just go for it.
Oh no, he's had Daleks, he's had Cybermen, he's had the Master, he's had a lot of the sort of big characters. Obviously, his version of them, and he just writes these audios, he produces them, he stars as the Doctor. And I just find it, if you like fan stuff, I think this is some of the better quality produced stuff, if I'm being honest. And I just find them as a bit of fun to listen to, but actually quite convincing as a bit of Doctor Who when it's not on telly.
It does seem like this guy playing the Doctor, Miles Taylor, who is a writer and the star of these, like he's loving life there. What do you think, Sarah?
Look behind you.
Oh, I think this is wonderful. Yeah, and I love
So do I.
fans, creating anything, whether it be art or stories or what. Yeah, I've never heard of them before, but yeah, that trailer, I was very impressed, Charlotte, how professional it did sound. I like even the titles look a bit Big Finishy, don't they? It's the kind of titles that you'd expect, and what I quite like is with some of the stories he does stuff which I think a lot of fans have always wanted. Like his current companion is from the past, Nancy. She's not a modern day companion like the first audio. He's already.
How often do we talk about that? And we get lots of people in the live chat, don't we, who say, when are we going to get a companion from another time, not somebody contemporary?
Yeah, I love that, the fact that he's just gone and done it. Oh yeah, I'm very interested in checking this out now because I love Victoria, and I always said Victoria and Clara was such a missed opportunity.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, if she did do it, she'd have to put on that stupid accent, wouldn't she, all the way through?
Which
wasn't a very good idea.
Apparently, Charlotte, Miles and his friends they're asking for something very specific at the moment, aren't they? What are they looking for?
Yep. So because they're starting production on Series 5, because Series 4 came out last year, they're starting to put it into production, and they've got a casting call. So I thought it'd be nice to also sort of make more people know that he's put on his YouTube community, and I'm guessing, and he's probably put it on his socials as well. But
I think it's brilliant.
So are they looking for people to fill key roles, and they've got a breakdown somewhere?
Well, he's got a casting document. If you go on his YouTube channel, which is Tailored Vision Productions, that's the YouTube. You go on his community tab, it's there, and there's a casting doc. If you look at it. And it's he says it's an open audition, so anybody can audition. But if you look at the document, there is some set characters, which are obviously going to feature in the stories he's planning. So if you can, I think he sort of said anybody can apply, but if you could try and tailor it to the character sort of bios he's got already, and just send in like any video, and he's got his email there that you can send it to. And the closing date, because Dan was like, write some information down. So I've been good. I've got my book. It's open till the 10th of June, 7 p.m. That's when he wants everything to get sent in. Ooh. The email is tailoredvisionproductions@gmail.com. And like I said, just if you think you can have a bit, and also the only thing he said was you need to have a decent enough setup, like a mic, so it's good quality when you send it in that way. But basically, if you think you want to do a bit of acting, or if you want to just have a go and have a bit of fun to be in something, just have a go.
That's the thing. Is a lot of Doctor Who fans. A lot of Doctor Who fans say we talk about the creativity all the time, don't we? But there are a lot of Doctor Who fans out there who are budding actors, people who want to perform and have those inclinations, those skill sets. So this is an ideal opportunity, isn't it, for people to, whether they've acted or not before, to sort of to pitch in and to see if it's for them, I suppose, and have fun in a similar way to how we do.
It's a nice way to dip the toe in, isn't it? That's what I love.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always liked to look at fan stuff, because it's you can always appreciate it, the fact that they've gone out and done it, because it's scary to put yourself out there. But I think if you can do it to a good quality as well, and you can actually have some of the stories he's written, I found I've even thought, oh God, wouldn't this be good if the show did this idea? Like I said, with his companion, I think she's a brilliant concept. The current companion he's got. The first episode, he sort of takes something a bit like Russell did, but I think it's better that his doctor, you meet him, he's already established. You don't get the whole regeneration rigmarole. He's there, and you just come across him halfway through the story a bit. So I like that.
Lord Thoth says here, pretty tragic that amateur fans make better Doctor Who than so-called professionals. That is the case sometimes, isn't it? Some of the things that we see, there's some good fan films, certainly some competent and engaging fan films just on YouTube, Simon. You can come across them now and again.
Yeah, I mean, as we've said so many times, this is one of the things that is just so brilliant about Doctor Who, and that I love so much, is that it just inspires creativity in people to get out there and do. And I mean, going back to sort of the mid 80s, early 80s even, they were doing audio productions on little cassettes, on little audio cassettes. So it's been going forever, which is brilliant. I love the fact that people.
What about The Stranger? Do you remember that?
Those were audios as well. Nick Briggs was involved in those. Big Finish started out as audio visuals, and Nick Briggs was there with Gary Russell and some of the people who are still there now at Big Finish now, so still floating around it. They've sort of grown with it, and obviously got official licenses and things. But there's other people as well too.
And it's just good that things like YouTube allow people, these outlets, to just put the stuff out there. So it's not just making it and doing it in your bedroom and then just nobody ever sees or hears it or anything. It's brilliant that people can actually get it out there and people see it and they get a following for it. Brilliant.
I thought it was a great trailer. I mean, somebody mentioned there in the live chat the fact that a lot of the people who are actors in these things, they tend to be contemporaries of those, so they get a lot of young actors and not so many older actors. So when you've got characters in there who are, say, if they had an older unit officer kind of character, they often have to be played by younger people. So I would say that anybody of any age could probably get in touch with Tailored Vision. They'd probably be quite happy to hear from them, wouldn't they, Charlotte?
Yeah, well, in his description, you basically said anybody, any age, any gender, basically, there's no sort of, you can't apply for this.
And Charlotte, I can see Mark James Hill is asking in the chat, can we please have the email again, which might be worth putting out.
I think one of the mods did it.
I know somebody's put the channel. Thank you. I think I saw somebody put the channel in the chat, so thank you. But
except I'm not sure that's the correct one. Just checking. I'm not sure that is actually the correct YouTube channel. So be careful, folks. It might not be the right one.
So the YouTube channel is Tailored Vision.
Yeah, that's the YouTube channel.
But
the email that he's using...
and with no E in tailored, presumably.
That's right. So Charlotte, what's the email address? So
the email is tailoredvisionproductions@gmail.com. So to spell that really quickly, it's TAYLORDVISION productions@gmail.com.
Perfect.
And you can join in with all their shenanigans there on Tailored Vision, and who knows what you may find yourself doing, traveling in time, or pretending to be a monster, or some sort of unit officer, or something like that. Who knows?
Dan, can you just put that image back on a sec? Yeah, isn't that just a wonderful doctorish pose? Like, he's a fan, he's an amateur, and I'm like, he looks so much more convincing than a certain other person.
Because
You can see that he really, he's in there. He's in the zone. I am the Doctor. He believes he's the Doctor. He's not just cosplaying as a Doctor. Just to see, a young bloke like that, really look convincing. I'm very impressed.
Loving life and living the dream, living the part. Like we all would, given our chance, right, guys? Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, I mean, why do they do that? All those months of hard work and commitment, risking embarrassment. I suppose I think they do it all for the same reason that we do this. It's all for the love of Doctor Who. That's what brings us together here to ramble on about it for hours on end here on YouTube to you and whoever else will listen. People like Adam who are game enough to come along and listen to it all. And that's what brings you here in the live chat too. So please keep the comments coming. Always appreciated. And while you're here, go and check out. So we mentioned earlier on that Ian had been to London Comic Con, and you can find Ian's kind of video diary here on the Spacebook channel on an exclusive Type 40 extra, simply labelled at MCM London Comic Con. And yeah, because you took your smartphone out, didn't you, Ian? You shot some footage and bothered some people. And it went pretty well, didn't it? You got a few minutes footage out of it before you were ejected from the building.
I was ejected. Yeah.
Really?
No, of course not.
Should have done.
You can find that here on the playlist on the Spacebook channel, along with video versions of every single episode of Type 40 Live itself, a Doctor Who podcast, such as my and Simon's interview with the legendary artist Jeff Cummins. You will have seen his work on all those Target book covers in the 1970s, wasn't it? I think it was from the 70s through to the 80s, 80s now and again. Not only that, though, he's the invisible artist with an incredible track record and portfolio of paintings that you never knew it was him, from the Radio Times and album covers, lots of iconic imagery and posters. And Jeff, although he's a very modest man, he does open up that portfolio, and his memories shares those with Simon and myself there in the latest Type 40 Doctor Who podcast. Or you can check out, of course, previous editions of Type 40 Live. They're in the playlist too, such as the last of our Diamond Anniversary Series episodes a few weeks ago, where we all got together and shared our Doctor Who moments there. More of that coming up as 2023 continues. The anniversary itself grows closer. They're still filming. Nobody's filming out on the streets at the moment, so it's all going on in secret. Heaven knows what they're getting up to. But as soon as we know a little bit more, we'll be sure to get on to you here at Type 40 Live and share what we know. So yeah, if you join in as well, between us, we've got it all covered here on Type 40 Live. And if you don't know what to do by now, firstly, where have you been? But if you don't know what to do by now, or you may be reluctant to like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz, and you're not convinced when I ask you to do it, maybe they'll change your mind.
Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
I do think actually Daleks really should have mouths like that. I just think they should. Come on, Russell, give us Daleks with mouths.
Reminds me of the MASH.
Those voices.
MASH makes
Well,
Smash.
that's
Right?
That's based on, weren't they? So
That's what they remind me of. So Daleks with mouths, that's on our wish list now for the 60th anniversary. It seems maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get some more surprises. Lots more things that we never expected in the anniversary year. Yeah, I think top of the list was probably something like this. This was announced.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Sorry, bring the mood down, everybody. But this was announced a couple of months ago now, wasn't it? We've spent about 8 weeks trying to recover from this. Adam, I don't know if you remember. So, yeah, we heard.
I can't forget.
Still having nightmares about that. About that original. I'd call it a trailer. I'm not exactly sure what it was.
It was going so well.
So it was announced a couple couple of months to go. We're just a few days now until it starts being dispatched.
Are we really? Wow.
Yeah, we are. Or I don't know how what are they doing with it? Are they publishing it, or are they passing it the way one passes a stool? But yes, Doomsday, Doctor Who Doomsday, officially launches in a few days' time. Adam's going to need a minute. Officially launches on the 5th of June. So you may want to brace yourselves.
Dan, what is
well,
it?
I'm glad you've asked that, Ian. I'm glad you asked it, because this should satisfy your curiosity. This is a transmedia, not in the 2023 meaning of the word, a transmedia multi-platform story to celebrate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary. Now, you would think, it being the 60th anniversary, they'd do something distinguished, maybe with a bit of dignity, and with somebody who at least has some modicum of talent. But you would think so, but apparently not. Instead, we get the comedian. I'm going to inverted commas. Comedian, actor, personality. I know,
influencer.
Yeah, I think all the things above really plays Doom, who is apparently the best, scariest, most lethal assassin in the whole of the Whoniverse. Has anybody been won over by this idea in the last couple of months since we first started talking about it?
Of course they haven't. Don't be ridiculous.
I've been trying to forget about it, Dan, honestly.
Doesn't that image tell you all you need to? I mean, look at that face.
Yeah, it's hard to know how to respond to that, isn't it? I don't know if she's managed to have any acting lessons in the time in between. But the idea is, we've got the official press release here to jog your memory, is that fans, that's us. So aren't we the lucky ones? Fans will follow Doom as she travels through all of time and space in pursuit of the Doctor to save her from the ever-approaching reality of death. She only has 24 hours and a vortex manipulator to save herself before her fate is sealed forever. Suze Kempner is the face and the voice of Doom, so the press release says, and a number of fan favourite characters.
Definitely the voice of Doom.
Yeah. And apparently, Sarah, they're going to bring in lots of fan favorite characters into this car crash. Now, I believe that the bad press when this was launched, that incredibly bad trailer, don't know what you'd call it, promo reel, whatever it was they gave us a few weeks ago, I believe that means that this line is pretty much DOA. Whether that's fair or not, I'm not sure. It turns out a lot of creatives have been involved in the various arms to it. So I don't wish to be cruel or rude to them. I'm sure they've worked hard on their end of the bargain on writing these stories. But I do get the impression, Adam, that was a bad day for the BBC publicity office when that trailer dropped, wasn't it? Is this salvageable at all in your eyes?
The thing is, Dan, that trailer was so bad that it's just hanging over everything that's been announced since, isn't it? Because you can't get past it. I mean, I'd never heard of Suze Kempner before that trailer dropped. So that's my first impression of her. That's my first impression of this character. So, you know, first impressions stick with you, right? So everything they've announced since, I'm thinking, so they did showed the covers to the comics. I thought, oh, actually the artwork looks pretty good, but you're associating it with this video, so it doesn't matter how good the artwork looks. You know, it's already you've already lost interest because of the first impression, and it's a shame because I want to echo just quickly what you said about, you know, the writers and the people that have worked on it. Because somebody I know, Darren Jones, he's written one of the stories which is coming out on a vinyl. The vinyl looks gorgeous. Again, great artwork. It's on translucent vinyl. If it wasn't sort of attached to this trailer, which I'd seen, if I'd have just seen that launched as here's a vinyl coming out of this new character Doom with this splintered cover, I'd be thinking, wow, that looks good. You know, what's this? But all I think of every time I see anything with Doomsday is that trailer, and it's just completely overshadowed anything. And I do think, it's a shame because the artwork for the comics, the novels, the vinyl, and as I said, Darren is a good writer. He writes a lot of the Big Finish audios. It could be good. It's good stuff, and I appreciate the hard work they put into it. But it's really hard to get past that trailer. It's even now. How long ago did that drop? A month?
I think
or so?
it's been about 2.5 months. I think it's been a fair while.
Really?
Just before Easter.
Yeah,
or around Easter time.
And it's still just lingering over everything to do with it, because as soon as they announce anything, the comments just say, "Not for me. Is this still a thing?" You know, it's just. I think they're just climbing up a hill, basically, with this. I think.
Yeah, and I have to say the general mood in the live chat is largely the same. Paul Murray says, no, it's hanging around like a bad smell. Mega the Extremist says, here's hoping Doom gets her head cut off in the first story. She's the most talented piece of S I've seen since her. And we know who that is. And this is still... people, it's not that people have long memories, it's just that some turds are just really difficult to flush, aren't they, Charlotte?
Well, it's like Geek was saying, like that first impression was so bad. And it wasn't just the acting, it was everything in the trailer, the quality of it, the direction of it, the effects on it. It was just like, and like we said at the time, this is a luxury buy, this whole project, because it's not needed technically, it's extra. So people are going to have to pay money for it. There's an expectation going in, and you need to meet that. And from that trailer, it was just like, what on earth are you doing, BBC?
The Sodor Engines here has put a message in the chat, which I never even considered, hi, I'm Doom. They couldn't afford Absalom Dark, so they got me instead. Doctor Who history is full of examples of characters who are assassins, isn't it? Even on screen, let alone expanded media. So why create something new? It could have been created. This is the really frightening thought, Sarah. It could have been especially created for this Suze Kempner character. And I've seen some of a comedy. I mean, this is. I know comedy is a very subjective thing, but it didn't make me laugh once. I think the last time, it laughed in the same way that you laugh nowadays in 2023 when one opens a gas bill, for example.
I mean, I've not seen a comedy, so I can't comment, but I have seen her interactions on Twitter.
You are cutting, Dad. Sorry.
Yeah, she doesn't seem a very nice person. Well, okay,
No.
I don't know her, so I could be wrong. She doesn't seem to be very nice to potential customers.
Exactly. She is insufferable on Twitter. She's adversarial towards the customer base of the entire Doctor Who brand. She's vilifying Doctor Who fans, such as ourselves, who create content for, I don't know, having an opinion or giving a review or even having a voice. She seems to think that we are not worthy of having any of those things. But nevertheless, it's about to kick off. And I believe, from people that I've spoken to, actually from people who've come to speak to me about this, some of the licensees who are involved in this whole BBC Studios effort are no happier about it than we are. So it does kick off. It does kick off with this. Adam, you're quite right. It kicks off in comic book form in the pages of Doctor Who magazine. So we talked about this a little bit last week. The next issue of Doctor Who magazine is going to cost $10.99, and we wondered why it was going to cost $10.99, because that for a magazine, when they did things like this, they used to pass them off as free gifts, Simon. They don't do that anymore. I think the trading standards won't let them. But what it is, the reason why it's $10.99, and this really sticks in my throat as a Doctor Who magazine completist, is because Doomsday, it's not just an article covering it. Doomsday actually begins in this. Once the launch happens on the BBC websites on Monday, the 5th of June, I think the 5th of June is when it launches there, but then the story kicks off proper in the pages of Doctor Who magazine, and it's a story called Target Selected, which is a 16-page comic strip adventure supplement that comes with this magazine. So you have to pay for this piece of tat whether you want it or not, and because it isn't free, you're paying for it on top of an already quite expensive magazine. I don't think this is going to start well, never mind end well.
Sorry, I'm just chuckling because of Richard Brooks' comment there. She looks like a dog that has been shown a card trick. I mean, to me, she just looks like she's dropped one, to be honest. It's just it's the start of looking at on a baby when they've dropped one, isn't it?
Always making these decisions. That is an awful picture. At least try to make her look menacing. She's supposed to be
just make her look even more stupid than she did before. It's just incredible. Are they going out of their way to try and turn people off buying this? It's literally incredible. She's got that I've just followed through look, hasn't she? It's not good at all. It's not good at all.
Dan, is this sorry?
No, sorry, Adam. All I was going to say was the problem is with all of this, that I don't think the problem is solely with that trailer, which was stumped to high heaven. It's the fact that actually, to be honest, we don't give a flying about this stuff. This is not what we want in the 60th anniversary year of Doctor Who. I'm fed up of saying this, Russell. I hope you're watching the show. It's not what we don't give a damn about. Doom. It's not what we want. So it doesn't matter how good it is when it comes out. It's still not what we want.
Sarah?
It's an odd thing to focus on. We don't want to. I'm not opposed to having a new character, but why don't do a multi-Doctor comic strip? If you can't put the Doctors on screen, do a comic strip. That's more likely to sell. We're more excited about that.
Anything, another audio. You know, if it's going to be multi-platform, fine. We do it audio with multi.
Do something with Paul McGann, for God's sake.
Well,
why spend money on this crap when you could just get Paul to do a comic strip or you know, or something, you know, just.
Well, they are. In all fairness, they are doing things with the classic Doctors, but in my view, a project like this has come out of people's blind spots. Whereas Big Finish are doing this multi-part saga that's going to be published between, I think the first one came out last month, so between May and the anniversary itself. And yet that has kind of, and with everybody that you want to be in it, is in it. I mean, there are some of those miscasts that you're less a fan of, Adam. Mm-hmm. Those are in there too. But there's lots of the actors that we love playing the parts that we love them in. And yet that has been overshadowed very much by this. I think less is more. And they've kind of flooded the market with this extended universe stuff. I think Big Finish are a little guilty of that themselves, to tell you the truth. But with this too, people just can't keep up. They're bound to pick and choose, to cherry pick, and given the choice, they're going to go with the ones with the Doctors in. I think
people haven't got much money, and you know, trying to keep up with Big Finish as it is very difficult because they're not cheap.
No.
And you know, this on top, and I think $10.99 for a magazine is absolutely appalling, because Doctor Who magazine's getting thinner as it. I'd be good paying what is it $6.99, because all it is is a load of Big Finish adverts and maybe a couple of articles that are worth reading. They're getting thinner and thinner every month, and I just add on this absolute tart. And, you know, no offence to the writer or the artist of the comic, but
exactly,
just to have it forced on people and the banking on people being completists of the magazine. But I really don't think this is going to sell well at all.
I think it would have sold and got over, Adam, if they'd have built it around, even if with a new character, if they'd have cast it well with somebody who had, if not a familiarity about them and somebody we knew from something else, but at least if they appeared sort of likable, not a bell end like they seem to have. What were you going to say there, mate?
Well, I just wondered, not only can people not keep up with the output of Big Finish, but also they can't keep up with the expense of it. So this is a multi-platform thing. You've got to be invested in this character. You've got to be invested to buy all these things. People can't afford that, like you just said. You know, it's money that they want people to put in their pocket, but people are not going to give that just on a whim. You know, they're going to want to be drawn into this, and I don't think people are. But what I was going to say, Dan, is where has this come from? Like, who's come up with this concept? Is this a hangover from the Chibnall era? Because I can't see Russell T Davies has come up with this, right?
The rumor I've heard, the rumor I've been told by somebody I trust that it has been a project that's been kicking around for a while.
It feels like it.
Time Lord Victorious happened, I think, 3 years ago. I think we can. It's no secret that was largely a failure. They wanted to try it again. I think because this kind of multimedia stuff, it is other places and other brands are making a success of it, and the BBC Studios, I think they're right to try it again. But what I don't understand is why they seem to be trying it again to the exact same blueprint and are expecting a better result. In fact, it's arguably a cut price version because there's no familiarity there at all. The story seems farted into existence, and so you've even less reason to chase the component parts of this through the various media. So then it goes into comic books. Poor Titan Comics, who have got in enough trouble as it is, they've got the 2-part Doctor Who comic on the way. This is a story called A Doctor in the House, where Doom meets the villainous Missy in a 2-part comic series. These comics are ridiculously expensive as it is, very hard to find. The artwork's always terrible. That's one of the reasons why they're going down the shitter too, quite frankly. So you've got that. Titan are putting that out, and it goes straight from that over to BBC Books. And this first novel, Extraction Point, again, M.G. Harris is writing this. It's a decent writer. But then you look at the cover artwork and the indignity of putting Chris Eccleston there and the poor late Patrick Troughton alongside this character. It's just not going to play well with the fan base, I feel.
I even feel sorry for that Slovene. That's not even right.
Yeah, when you indignify the Slovene.
I think there's another element to this, and it's that fan trust has been damaged so much through the Chibnall era and probably stuff before that, if we're being perfectly honest. But the most recent thing is the Chibnall stuff. Fan trust is low, it's been damaged. The BBC has to prove to us now, I think a lot of fans are in that headspace, that because of the low quality we've been served, the BBC has to actually be the ones to prove, no, we're actually doing a good product here, for us to even look at it, let alone give money towards it. And this is just at a time when your trust is so low, you either, if you're going to take a risk, you put your best quality, everything going into the risk to secure people going to have an interest, or I'm going to be honest, you don't do it. And it's like, you got the 60th, you've got the specials, there's plenty of other stuff that's coming probably in the pipeline. You didn't need an other extra thing like Doomsday. Oh, and that's what I find baffling. Like, this fan base is battered, the trust is low, it's fragile. This is the worst timing I can think of to do this.
Fans just aren't having this, Simon. There's comment after comment in the live chat. Those covers, surely they can't be serious, says the Darren Zone. Matthew Pound asks simply, all these are real?
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it? And the thing is, I mean, Charlotte's absolutely right in what she's saying. And the irony of this is, if they wanted to try and pull a stunt like this, it was a gamble in the first place to do it, especially in the anniversary year when it's fairly obvious what we want. But if you want to try a gamble like this, okay, all respect them for trying it, but you've got to be really, really confident in your product. You've got to put a damn good product out there that makes people want to go for it. And so, as Adam has said, all we got was that stinking trailer, and now all we get are these dreadful, dreadful covers. And again, you know, to go back to the people, the artists, the writers, so on, that have contributed to this, I actually feel sorry for them. You know, they've just basically done a job. They've been paid to write a story. Well, good. I can't hold anything against them at all. It's the concept that stinks. And so they just should have, if they were going to put this out, they really had to be supremely confident that they were putting out a good product. And I still find it incredible that they're releasing artwork like that and expecting that to turn it around. It's just unbelievable, incredible.
It's like, here's another thing, Simon. It's like, they've not put her in a single action pose, what I'd say is an action pose in anything. She's just stood still, looking forward.
Well, looking like she's dropped one.
Yeah, ever like trying to have like an aim at something with like a sniper. I don't know. She's an assassin. Have her actually do something assassiny on one of these pictures.
Yeah, of course. Russell T Davies did speak about the project when it was announced, and kind of gave it a backing. But I have it from a reliable source that the very first time Russell T Davies saw the trailer was when we all saw it, and he was as horrified as we were. Mark Lewis says, "I think the space station from Departing of the Ways was in the background on that cover." You're right. It is well spotted.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
It is.
Very good, Mark.
Eagle eyes.
Well,
there's a lot of stuff there. Yes, so that's not convincing me either. But obviously, you put Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor there in that artwork. They're hoping that will be enough. But I just think, not our lovely second Doctor. Don't drag him into this. And I certainly hope they don't drag him into this as well. So this is where it goes after. East Side Games, Lost in Time. This is one of those digital game apps. I don't really understand it, but there's a component part of this called Wrong Place at the Right Time, where Doom's story will continue. And they've got her as a little sort of sprite kind of character there. Just another reason not to play this game, as far as I'm concerned. But BBC Audio then take it up with this. This is the one you were talking about, Adam. This is the most lavish, arguably, again, you say Darren, a talented writer. I've enjoyed a lot of his stuff.
He's done some good Big Finish stuff, I have to say. Yeah.
So these are 4 original audio adventures on vinyl, where Doom will come into contact with classic companions Ian and Barbara. Even they're not safe from this. Ice Warriors, the Ood, and the Doctor on 12 150-gram vinyl albums in translucent purple and blue. I mean, beautiful items and nicely put together artwork. I think this is probably the best looking of the thing. But again,
I was going to say that's the best position, as in an actually believable character she's been in.
Yeah,
but she looks like she's at Zumba class. I think, Adam. It's not.
It's the leggings, isn't it, Dan? I think makes you think that. Yeah. But the thing is, these audios aren't cheap. I mean, people were saying $10.99, but the Big Finish ones, I think they're doing 2 sets. They're like $34.99 each, aren't they? So who's going to pay £35? Well, £70. I mean, no offense to Sue Kempner, but as I said, the only time I've ever heard her speak is in that trailer. I can't imagine paying £70 to listen to her speak for 5-8 hours, whatever the audios are. I just can't imagine.
Adam. She's simply not going to be able to sustain it. She's just not. I'm sorry, but she's just not good enough to be able to sustain that length. She can't sustain a 1-minute trailer, let alone a 1-hour audio.
I just can't imagine it. I mean, I might get the vinyl because obviously Darren and stuff, but that's the only thing that's
to support a friend. I understand
that.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I can't imagine spending like £35 on a box set. I just can't imagine it. I'll be very interested to hear the trailer when they release it to see how that sounds.
I mean, if this was in isolation, that look, if I didn't know anything about, if I'd not seen that wretched trailer, I'd look at that and I think, that looks quite interesting. It looks a bit more dynamic than what we've had. And like you said, the vinyl looks gorgeous, but it's just been absolutely tainted, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If that was the first thing you saw, if that was the first impression, someone said this vinyl's coming out, new character Doom, you'd think, oh, okay, looks all right. But that trailer's just hanging over it like a big old black cloud.
Massive fart cloud, A crippling doubloon says, I'm sad for the trees that died to make these comics and books. We should go to the BBC and throw orange powder around, shouting, just stop Doom. Oh.
Well, there's the thought.
I'm not sure we can top that, really. So that vinyl that is out. That's out on the 30th of August. You've got to wait for that to get. So you have to save.
I can wait. It's cool. I can manage.
If you're so inclined, and then Big Finish picked the thing up from there. So poor Big Finish get to take part in it as well. Ian, I know you're not an audio drama guy anyway, but this is. What do you think of the way they're handling this?
It's all crap. It's not even worth talking about. This is a disgrace to Doctor Who. It's an insult to every fan out there, proper fans, of course. I just think this is all a waste of time. That design for that cover is just awful. It really is. It's just so shit. And why would you buy vinyls on a character you don't even know or don't even care about? I just think the whole thing just doesn't even deserve a mention. Personally, but there you go.
Well, it all launches finally for the curious and the strong of stomach. Doctor Who Doomsday launches this coming Monday, the 5th of June, across the BBC social media platforms and channels. If you're game enough, if you're brave enough.
And where does it end, Dan?
No, don't take me there. Don't take me there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so from new From new feces to old faces.
Oh, that was a segue and a half.
Wee.
Old faces, faces flogging, to be precise. Are you old enough, Ian, to remember these gems from the telly past in the very latest?
Probably.
Adam's not going to come back in the second half.
No, he's not.
I love the adverts.
I'll make myself a coffee.
Of course he does.
I'm holding it because I love the adverts.
For Adam and for everybody watching out there in the live chat and on the panel, and for a gazillion extra points, I want to know what connects all of these. I'll be back with the answer in a couple of minutes, and for much more of our usual brand of silliness, don't go away.
Court Spectacular Furniture, Bedding and Carpet Sale starts 9 a.m. Bank Holiday Monday.
With his familiar pint of scald, Trevor looks like a normal scholar, but he is in fact a hyper-intelligent mega-being from a distant galaxy, which means he can score 180 at darts. With his eyes closed. Beat the Space Invaders at their own game.
Oh no, it's Trevor.
He can even transmit telepathic commands.
2 pints of scald. I a very old grey one.
Naturally, Skull can't turn you into a hyper-intelligent mega-being with superpowers. But when you know lager, you're a scholar.
Send away now for this handsome chest wing. Simply a fix to the torso for that devil-may-care caveman.
Alternatively, stick to a pack of Panama cigars. This will bring you instant six appeal, because there are 6 of those smooth-smoking Panama cigars in every packet. Panama, the only cigars with 6 appeal.
Got what it takes, my wife. Got friends round. Got roast pork for lunch. Plenty of taste, British folk. Real value for money. Fred's got plenty. Arthur's got plenty. We've all got plenty. Plenty to go round. My wife's got what it takes. British pork. What's it got? It's got the lot. Got pork for lunch on Sunday?
Hello, faggot lovers everywhere. I've a message for you from Birdseye. Birdseye faggots will appeal to your whole family. They've made them with lashings of gravy, but they've gone easy on the spice because kids don't like them too spicy, apparently. Birdseye even suggests that people who don't like faggots could enjoy these. They live in hope. You know, they could be right.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to Type 40 Live. I hope you enjoyed the adverts and are all refreshed and relieved and ready to join us back here in the console room. So, of course, what I want to know is, do any of you think you know what connects all those famous faces from the telepast with a specific Doctor Who thing? Anybody got any guesses? Hands up if you think you know.
No, I haven't got a clue, but I'm definitely a faggot lover. Definitely a faggot lover.
Aren't we all? Say no
season
more.
21, Dan? Is it something to do with season 21?
Let's go and check it in the live chat. Let's go and see what they've got to say about it. Yes. I think lots of people. You could be onto something there, Adam. So we've got Space Invaders. Paul Murray says season 21 connects them all. Yeah, so he's very much in your camp. And you Brits and your wacky commercials, says Lord Thoth. Absolutely.
You want to get away with most of those commercials nowadays.
We just don't make them like that anymore, do we? We really don't. Classic.
Absolutely no comment
Thank
on
God.
any beer commercials, as Vanessa and Ian Collier. We've got plenty, says Jack Thursby. I think of his talking personally. or whether he's referring to one of the adverts. I love the apocalyptic music in the Turkish.
Yeah, that was really bothering me. That
Yeah, it was.
It was sinister, wasn't it, Ian? It was like something of a really dark thriller during the Cold War or something. See, of the extremist, which is always good to do. Yeah, so good stuff. I'm in control, likely lad. Okay, yes. So let's put everybody out. I think everybody got that. Actually, come to think of it. So yeah, we were there, and these are the faces that we saw. There was Tom Adams there from he was from Warriors of the Deep, wasn't he, Simon? Do you remember that?
Yeah, one of my favourites. Still love Warriors of the Deep.
So there he was advertising Courts, a furniture warehouse. But I think Courts are still
My
going.
dad used to work for that.
Did
my
he?
dad used to. Yeah, my dad was a manager of Courts in Clapham Junction. But it doesn't exist in Clapham Junction, but it exists in Trinidad and I think just Trinidad. I think it is. There you go.
There we are. Robert Glenister was there. Now, that was the advert in the pub. There was a couple of red herrings in there because obviously we heard the voice of Tom Baker and we saw the face of Tony Selby, a glitz. But one of the regulars drinking there in the pub was indeed Robert Glenister, who was starting in the Caves of Androzani. So did you see that?
No, clever. That's the one that nearly threw me.
Yeah, it's a good one, that, isn't it? Did you get that one, Sarah? Did you spot him?
Eventually,
Robert went
when
on
you were told.
hospital for several years, didn't he? I think he was in something to do with her. I can't remember. Jeff Rawle, he was there. Now he was. This is my favourite because Jeff was advertising Panama cigars, wasn't he? And that's an advert that I think they were running that for years and years and years. I certainly remember it from when I was a kid. It used to make me laugh like a drain. Jeff played I don't know if you call him a villain, but he was certainly a confused and conflicted character in Frontius. After that, we saw Barbara Shelley. She was huddled round with. She was the wife of the geezer who was very pleased with his pork, and who was playing that Sunday lunch. So there she was, former movie star Barbara Shelley in such a small part, and finally, former Likely Lads sitcom legend Rodney Bewes selling us some what brand of faggots were they? Bird's Eye faggots. So they'd got rid of the captain and they brought on the lad himself there to advertise those. Rodney Bewes. I think he died about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm a big fan of the Likely Lads. So obviously you got that one, Adam. You were very confident there in it as well. I think most people did. Most people seem to as well. Apart from the glitz, yes, Crumpling Doubloon nearly threw him there with the red herring. People didn't spot that. I just love you, Simon, says Vanessa Law.
It's because of my faggot comment. Everybody loves a faggot.
They do. One of those words that's got a different meaning in different parts of the world.
I was going to say, it's very confused.
What are you talking about?
Was it brains faggots? Was it
brains faggots? Brains.
Nothing sexier than a face full of cigar smoke, says Jack Thursday. Good stuff. Will we aim to please? Cheers, says Peter Harrington. And I'm Vanessa Law. She laments, I'm at an extreme disadvantage on these quizzes. Just watch more classic Doctor Who, Vanessa. Yeah. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Yeah, so welcome back to Type 40 Live. Format Doctor Who show, clocking all the fixed and not so fixed points in the Whoniverse on and off screen, and whether you prefer the fourth or fifth dimensions. Still here with the panel. Adam hasn't budged. He's still here, everybody. It's a miracle, Sarah.
I love the advert section. I didn't even go to the loo. I'm just going to hold it to the end because I just wanted to watch. So you see me jiggling about a bit. I love the adverts. I don't know where you find them, Dan. I really don't.
YouTube.
Well, yeah. This is it.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed what you can rustle up.
YouTube. Yeah.
And from there, please, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check you're still subscribed, and don't forget to hit the cloister bell so you get all the notifications about. Yeah, you go and check now, Ian. Hit the cloister bell so you get all the notifications.
Oh, no. I'm still subscribed. Damn it.
Yes. Please hit the cloister bell so you get all the notifications about the podcast and the live streams and everything else we've got coming up here on Type 40 Live and everywhere else. Looking to the future now, Sarah, and I'm glad you're here because I thought you'd be a good one to ask about this. Earlier on, when was it? No, it was last month now, wasn't it? We had to endure that countdown to the Eurovision Song Contest just to get 40 seconds of brand new Doctor Who in a trailer to look at for any idea about what's coming in the future. Adam, I'm not sure if it was worth it. What did you think of the last trailer?
Yeah, I must admit, I watched your live stream talking about it, Dan, and I did agree with what you said. I think the problem was it didn't give us anything new to get our teeth into. That was the problem. As a trailer itself, I think it was great, but it just needed, like, I think even just a 1 second clip of Bernard Cribbins would have been enough.
Sure, I said that as well, didn't she?
We would have gone mad over it. It just needed something like that. But I think because it was the majority of it is what we've seen before, it just didn't hit the mark for us. But as a trailer, it was fine. Like you said, it was a fine trailer, but it needed something. It needed an extra scene to really make us, go wild. And it didn't.
Wow moment, didn't it?
It really did. It needed something.
That's what it needed.
It definitely did, Ian. Yeah, I agree. It needed something new. Just one new clip would have been enough, but it just felt too familiar already.
Bring us the Bernard. We insist on a bit of Bernard. So there wasn't much there apart from a little bit of admin. We got to find out what the episode's going to be called. Of course, we got the first one's called the Star Beast. Second one's called Wild Blue Yonder. It finishes off with the giggle. We've had a few giggles on this edition of the show, and but if you look closely at some of the little details in there, I believe there could be a clue to a couple of things, and this is why I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you specifically, Sarah. Could this be on the cards? Who is back next? And I've been meaning to talk about this for a little while, but since the trailer, I'm even more convinced that I believe that one face associated with the Russell T Davies era may well be back, but it's not necessarily a companion or even one of the proper supporting characters. I believe that we stand a good chance of seeing Trinity Wells back on screen for these specials. What do you think? Because obviously she was a mainstay, wasn't she? Lachelle Carl played Trinity Wells throughout the Russell T Davies era, appearing in multiple episodes, just in little scenes, little dots here and there.
Why?
And it's part of these interludes where we get flashes to international news. Were part of the ambience, I feel, of the Russell T Davies era, part of the character of it, Sarah. So do you remember this character, Trinity Wells, turning up over and over?
Oh, yeah, of course I do. She's our favourite news anchor. So dramatic. And it was just a very clever way of, getting that kind of international feeling. I love how Russell incorporated that, and
it was to give it an extended sense of scale, wasn't it? Because even though the budgets were still comparatively small, they didn't want the threats, I feel, in New Doctor Who to be just to the home counties. They wanted us to feel like the world was in danger, and it's a shorthand that we've seen in lots of TV shows and in American shows where they would cut to various newsrooms all around the world. And I think this was the first time I ever saw it done in a British show, Ian.
I don't care. I don't care. Give us something. Give us something that we want, please. Just carry on, Dan. I don't care.
I have to be honest. A newsreader wasn't quite what I was hoping for in the 60th anniversary. I don't know. I was thinking maybe a Vok robot or Omega or the Ronnie, perhaps, but a newsreader. I can't get that excited. I'm sorry, forgive me. But I can't.
Why are they doing this, though? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why are they doing this?
Well, I don't know that they are doing this. This is speculation. This is just a bit of fun.
Okay.
So we don't know that they are doing this. But the way I see it, we've spoken a lot about the failure of the Chris Chibnall era and the fact that Doctor Who as a brand is in the toilet, and that the main task of these three specials actually, sadly, isn't to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who at all. It's actually to get this show back on track, to pull it from the wreckage, to save this IP, and to give it a helping hand into its next phase of life, hopefully as an internationally successful show on a global stage again. That's the real mission here. And so to re-evoke an era where the series was incredibly successful, Adam, I believe that they probably will look at dotting these, not kisses to the past as such, but things that characterised a very successful era and act as a dramatic shorthand. Do you see where I'm coming from? Is it just me?
It's not a character I expected you to bring back. I'm going to be honest, Dan. It wasn't. I thought Rusty the Dalek was probably more likely than Trinity Wells, but yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I mean, Russell seems to be relying perhaps a lot on some of his classic hits and tropes, so it wouldn't surprise me if Trinity pops up to give us a news update.
I would smile. I would have a little smile if she would just. She just.
I wouldn't. No, why? Why?
For exactly the same. Sorry to interrupt, Simon. For exactly the same reasons as she was there before. The scale of these three specials. Needs to be. No, but Ian, these need to be dramatic. These need to. No, well, these specials and these stories need to be dramatic events.
Really? So we get a newsreader in.
Yeah, let's get a newsreader in for it to be dramatic.
No, but what I'm saying is that's not what I'm saying. You're being facetious.
You're quite right. I'm slapping my hands.
It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that these specials they need to swing big dramatically. And obviously, whilst this will have a greater budget than we're used to, than the Chibnall era had, and certainly than Russell had before, they'd still not got a mega budget like a Mission Impossible movie. So, but they're going to want to tell a story that. If we're going to need to feel like the world is at threat and possibly the universe. So I think they probably are going to use some of these old, tried and tested tricks. If you're going to have a newsreader, surely it may as well be. If you're going to bring back David Tennant, and this is going to be like 10 seconds on screen. It's just a bit of fun. Why create a new newsreader character when you could just use Trinity Wells again, and people who grew up with the Russell T Davies era and are fond of that flavour will say, "Oh, it's her! It's that woman again." I think people will recognise her, Charlotte. What do you think?
If he does it in the way he did in the show, then he won't just have one odd newsreader, would he, on the screen? He'd be like, a massive event would happen in the episode, and you'd get a French newsreader, you'd get an American, you'd get Trinity, you'd get a fakey BBC reporter there, you'd get all these international news reporters all going, "Oh, the massive spaceship has gone into Big Ben." It was more the idea that you had this massive montage of all these international, like you said, ideas of the whole world is looking at these events in the show. It's not just a load of Brits are complaining. Like, that was the whole point. So yeah, I think
Jack Thursby says, sorry, Charlotte. Jack Thursby says Ian and Simon aren't wrong though, and no, you're not wrong. Obviously, it needs to be more than this. This is a very minor thing. It's just a little bit of fun.
The only point I'm trying to make is that this 60th anniversary year seems to be misfiring spectacularly. That we're halfway through the year. And we've now got a newsreader that might be coming back from.
I think that's Dan's speculation. I don't think.
Well, no, but the point I'm making is we've had nothing so far that has actually made me think, "Wow, we're going to have a good 60th anniversary year here."
Yeah. If they are going to do that, Dan, they should get Tucker Carlson or something like that. To the world stage.
I think now. Well, they filmed this a few months ago. Maybe if they'd known he was available, maybe they'd have got him. Michelle is in the live chat and says Russell T Davies will definitely be using sweeping shots of canyons, skyscrapers, and massive heights to make the show look more cinematic. And again,
an old trick, isn't it?
This is an old trick, and it works. Everybody, it works. If it ain't broke, why fix it? We often say that on this show.
Well, the thing is, though, we should create new stuff. You know, I mean, I think you're right, Dan. He's going back to the same well. Who said it? I can't remember who said it. Russell T's going back to the same well. He's doing the same thing. It looks like he's doing the same thing. I was expecting something new, but he's gone back and he's doing the same thing. So I just hope it's enjoyable. The ones with David Tennant. That's all I can say.
The reason why I feel even more confident. Go on, sorry, Charlotte.
Sorry, Charlotte. Go on.
I was going to say, but I get what Simon's talking about. We need to have those, and even what Geek was talking about the trailer misfiring for him. We need to have these big sort of look at us moments with the show. We need to have those big look at us, we're back, look at who we've got in, or a character we've not seen. but then we need those big moments, so then we can have these little callbacks, which in the grand scheme don't excite the general public or a lot of fans. But they're nice to have there because you've also got what Simon wants, which is oh God, they brought this monster back, or they brought this character back, which we've not seen for 20 years. It needs to be a mixture, and I think that's what they are missing at the moment. It's not a good mixture.
I agree. Totally
They don't.
agree.
They just seem to be completely missing that we are in the 60th anniversary year. I just don't understand this. I get no sense whatsoever that we're celebrating Doctor Who here. Nothing, zero, literally nothing. There is nothing so far. We've got Jinx Monsoon, we've got Doom, we've got maybe we might have the Celestial Toymaker. That's about the only thing so far. But that's hardly celebration. I don't know. It just seems like I don't know what's going on here. I feel like I'm in a bit of a twilight zone here.
Maybe it's because I'm a massive fan of the original Russell T Davies era, Adam. I absolutely
So am
adore it. I love the language and the look of it. I'm now getting incredibly nostalgic for it. And how I view it is that there will be a generation of people who grew up with those episodes who are now possibly even becoming parents and could feel safe in the knowledge that they can sit their child down to watch this big comeback, because this is the show that I loved in 2006. This is the actor that I love playing the part. And I think if we older fans who'd kind of, we'd be happy if the Brigadier turned up or something, just some kiss to the past turned up from that era. I think we're now at a point where new series fans would probably feel the same way. And this would be a perfect example.
I don't know. I think they've got David Tennant back. I think they should have created something new around David Tennant. David Tennant is the person that will drag the old fans in and maybe some new fans. But when Russell T did Doctor Who, he didn't copy what happened in the classic. He did his own thing. I just find it weird that he's just literally going back to what he did in the past to actually present what's essentially the 60th, which is just weird. I thought he'd create something new around David Tennant. Do you know what I mean? We know why David Tennant's there, obviously, but something new.
Again, I think we're going to get plenty of new. We don't know the plot of the story yet. This is 3 hours. I'm talking about what will probably amount to 10 or 15 seconds worth of screen time.
I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about the actual setup. Like, he's gone back to Donna again, and it's all that again. I just thought that if you're going to bring David Tennant back, to surround him with something new. Do you know what I mean? But
we do know though that if it wasn't, this Project Sarah would not exist. It exists because Tennant and Tate expressed an interest to come back. So it's academic. Why didn't they do it without them and this and that? That was never the brief. That was never what they were commissioned for. It was on the proviso that they tell this, well, if not this exact story, then certainly something with these characters. And so you either set it then and try and slot it into to the middle of series 4, Sarah, or you set it now when people look noticeably older.
Wasn't it Russell T's call to do whatever he wanted to do when he brought back David Tennant? That's what I'm saying. So is it he decided to go back to that story and go back to, because I thought that story was tragic and beautiful at the same time. That that was what happened with Donna, and to bring her back and to actually literally destroy what happened. And it just
again we're drifting into territory that we've been over several times again now. But that is, for better or worse, that is what they're doing, and we've had a year to get used to it. But I was looking at this scene. I was looking at this scene in the trailer. We've got the Doctor in what I believe could be a unit HQ, maybe another flying one, I don't know. But then underneath that Doctor Who logo that we've got on this one, we can see screens showing news flashes from all over the world. And if we go in a little closer, we do see AMNN News there once again. And so I do believe that because that's the same broadcaster, that Russell T Davies Bad Wolf won't be able to resist bringing Trinity Wells back to the screen, and probably, I'd say, definitely be played by the same actress. So it's just a little thing here and there.
Yeah, and the truth of it is, you are quite right, Dan. And I've been very, very facetious, and I'm just playing devil's advocate and baiting you. But to be
you're not a big fan of this era in particular,
No,
the Russell T Davies era, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But to be clear, I am very much a fan of retaining integrity and internal dynamics of the world. And so, as I say, I am being a bit cheeky because you're right, Dan. If you're going to bring back a newsreader, of course, it would be totally logical to bring back the same newsreader because whether I'm a fan of Russell T Davies's world or not, it exists. That is what Doctor Who now is, and so it makes absolute sense to retain that world and to follow it through. And that really is what Doctor Who should be doing anyway. We should always be striving to back up and retain what has gone before and the integrity of it, because the fiction exists within that world correctly. And so actually, yeah, you're quite right. Of course you would bring back the same newsreader.
I'm remembering as well, obviously we're getting an adaptation of the Star Beast comic strip, Adam. I suppose you've probably got several editions of that. You've read that?
A long time ago. I have got it, somewhere, but I haven't read it for ages, to be honest.
Because that featured Angela Rippon, didn't it, in comic strip form?
Bring her back. Angela Rippon?
Yeah,
Wow.
I believe so. I think it was the Star Beast. Anyway, it was either the Star Beast. No, it must have been the Star Beast because the Iron Legion was set in another time, wasn't it?
Well, I'll get my coat, Dan. I'm obviously a fake fan. I'm out of here. I didn't know that. Genuinely didn't know that. So.
I didn't know either. I'm going to go back and find this.
I feel better now. If this I'm in that.
Trinity Wells was, and I suspect will be again, played by Lachelle Carl, a 63-year-old actress from Pennsylvania who settled in Britain back in the 80s after travelling all over the world looking for acting work and things like that. So she still works. She does voice work. She's been in Big Finish as well. Got lots of voice work and adverts and voiceovers, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I would say bring her back. I say, Sarah, bring her back. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I never caught that in the trailer. So yeah, the fact that it is the same.
Was she in the trailer?
Network. No, the symbol, the moon symbol. I love that era. It's little things like that.
What you grew up with, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
All a bit of fun, I think. So, Charlotte, this was the era when you found Doctor Who as well. Am I over romanticising it? I mean, what do your generation feel about this stuff? Because you put up with us going on about the classic era all the time. Is it getting to that point for people of your age where you look at those old vanilla DVDs and you think about the what they call the TARDIS on the red button? Do you get nostalgic for that kind of thing? And for Lachelle, as Tiff,
I think definitely there's nostalgia for the early Russell stuff, like Eccleston's first run and early Tennant stuff, because I remember ages ago I couldn't work out. I think I was about 11 or 12 when I first watched. So you're at that perfect age of just you see something and it connects to you and then you remember it. And I can remember it was definitely a style of his to do the news as a way to tell the story a bit. So it wouldn't feel like Russell almost, I think, to a fan like me and probably to Sarah, if he didn't have a very quick shorthand way of storytelling, which he enjoyed, which was the news. I always remember when Christopher Eccleston's Doctor first was, I can't remember its first or second episode, he's in Rose's house and he's like, I don't know what's going on. And she just says, just watch the news. And you've got a doctor sat in this lounge watching the news like we all do. And it just felt so normal.
Yeah. What was it?
I remember that, and all the relatives were sat around him talking.
Yes, I can't remember the episode. Maybe the chat can help us. Like he didn't know what was going. Was it Aliens?
Was it Aliens of London? I think it's Aliens of London.
It is because they they lock everybody down. That they're not supposed to leave their homes. And he said, "Well, how am I supposed to go and see what's happening?" And she says, "Well, do what everybody else does and watch it on the telly." And he just looks at them as if to say, "What?"
And that was what Russell did. He connected to something you would do with your family. And I remember as a kid just thinking, "Oh, that's brilliant." The doctor's just sat there. Having to do the human thing of watching the telly to understand what on earth the danger is. So yeah, there's lots of those connecting memories, which I think he needs to. I've said this, the 60th for me, I want nostalgia, I want callbacks. It's a celebration. It should have those things.
I agree, Charlotte. I mean, I'm sort of with Ian that I would have loved to have seen something new. When Russell was announced as coming back, I was very much torn because I think after the last 5 years, where it just feels like it's gone so far away from what Doctor Who was, I think I want a bit of familiarity. So I'm all for sort of these little nods, these little things that we're used to make it feel like that comfort show again. But yes, I think once we've had the 60th, and I think that's the right time to do nostalgia, is the 60th, of course.
Yeah, then
once
do you new.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a comment here very much echoing that sentiment, Adam, and I wanted to bring it up. Babette Bombshell says, any respect for the series continuity is like a hug to the audience.
Yes.
Particularly after pain of somebody attempting to jettison pretty much the entire continuity, flush it down the toilet, and make it seem like it was irrelevant and reinvent it in depending on their own sort of idiosyncrasies, and put self-insert characters in and all manner of other things. It drove people away, it puts them off, and it damaged the show. And Babette adds, I'm just glad that loyal fans who follow the series continuity are being rewarded rather than punished. Darren Bradley, hi Darren, I didn't see you there, said, I want Trinity Wells to report Armageddon as mostly peaceful. I don't know what cheeky.
From my memory, she was a bit corny the way she acted it, and I think that'd just be fun to see again. She was a bit over the top.
It was cliched. It was a little bit Batman, like 1960s Batman. And you know what? It's fine. It works. It does its job. It lifts what you need it to lift. So yeah, I believe there's a chance that Lachelle Carl will be back there on screen as Trinity Wells. But I think the final word on the subject has to go to Matthew Pounder in the live chat, who reminds me that there are not many female 60-year-old American newsreaders. That is true. We get them in Britain, don't we, Simon? You know, we get people like Nick Owen, and they keep a lot of the veterans around.
Interestingly, you know, the newsreaders that I absolutely love are the ones from the TV movie. I just thought I think they were only exactly. And they basically did what Russell T Davies then, as Charlotte quite correctly pointed out, picked up on, which is a brilliant storytelling technique to do. But I love the ones in the TV movie. They were actually real newsreaders that they used in the TV movie. They weren't actors. They were real. They were real TV newsreaders, and I think you can tell they bring a completely different ethic, a sensibility to the way they present these fictional lines. So I loved those. So I bring back them. I forget Trinity Wells.
I think they should bring back the proper. Can you remember? I think Aliens of London, where they've got the political editor, and he stood outside Downing Street like. And that's the MP for so and so and so. I don't know why they're there in this emergency. I remember just following.
He was sarcastic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Trevor McDonald. That's what we should bring back. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine Trevor McDonald?
Yeah.
Covering the Daleks. Oh, that'd be amazing.
But it is interesting because I must be honest, I love seeing faces that you recognise. That shows like The Goodies used to do this all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
They would have real newsreaders or presenters of Nationwide or whatever it was. And I used to love it as a kid. It was really exciting to see that sort of intertextuality, that crossover between shows that you loved. And so that's what I would do. And that's what I liked when Russell T Davies also did this. He used to do the Blue Peter section, didn't he? Again, in Aliens of London, he did them baking a cake. He had Matt Baker making a cake of a UFO. Brilliant. That's the kind of thing I like to see, that crossover of stuff.
I know. I said that Matthew Pounder got the last word. I'm a Stuart inquiry here because I think Garbage might have got in. It says, if you want classic newsreaders, go and watch GB News.
They're all on there.
They're all on there.
They've got from next week. Complete tangent. Peter Andre is going to be a.
Peter. Okay.
He's going to be a ghost on GB News.
Never mind.
Peter Andre.
I never saw that coming. So
yeah, that wasn't on my 2023 bingo card. I have to say, who's back next? I have I have no idea really, but I think we are getting close. Obviously, it's just 6 months away until we get those anniversary specials, 3 hours worth of Doctor Who. Sometime around the anniversary, heaven knows what pattern they will be broadcasting, what evenings, how many will there be, one a night? Will they drizzle it across weeks? We've got no idea. David Tennant and everybody else, they're keeping very tight-lipped. He's keeping tight-lipped. Other doctors, anybody else who may be involved, tighter than tight. Obviously, let us know what you think of all of this. Are you just tired of all this? Tired of any nostalgia at all? Do you just want to fast forward and get to the all new, the literally all new? And this is just a load of old nonsense, really. There's no wrong opinions here on Type 40. Let us know in the comments section, by all means, and we'll get back to you. We'll chip in there too, and we'll have a bit of a dust up the way that fans used to, all in the spirit of community, good fun, and the 60th anniversary itself. There we are, everybody, complaining about getting too much of the old. But there's old and there's gold. There's old and there's gold. And the beauty about the gold is that it often comes, I don't know, gleaming and glistening and leather bound, does it not? If you know precisely where to look.
Terrible intro.
Thank you. Go on, you do it, Ian. You tell him. You select him. What's coming up, Ian? What we got coming up next?
This man. It's the diary.
We've got to say goodnight to Charlotte at this point as well. It looks like we're kicking off again, but it's great to see you, Charlotte. We'll hope to see you again next week for more of this stuff. You've been a great sport as always, and thanks for the information on the audio dramas too. We'll make sure that's in the description of the video as well. See if we can help them out.
Ta-da.
See you all next week. Bye. And thank you. And Geek, it's been lovely to meet you properly on screen.
Yeah, and you too. Yeah, see you again soon. Bye.
Oh, she's gone. Thank God she's gone.
Just like that, she's gone.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, I think let's not prolong it. Let's not prolong it anymore. Simon Horton's here, and so is the Doctor Who Diary.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, welcome to the diary. And first up on the diary this week, I really do hope that the Primord Infected is still watching, because we're spooling back 53 years to begin with, to 1970, when this week in 1970, Inferno episode 4.
Good stuff.
This is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories, full stop. Never mind my favourite third Doctor stories. I just think it's one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. And if there's anybody out there yet that hasn't watched it, trust me, you genuinely are in for a treat with this. I actually don't know anybody I've never met anybody that doesn't like Inferno, that didn't enjoy it when they watched it. It's just beautiful story.
The live chat has erupted already, Simon. Yes. Lots of people agree with you.
I kind of thought this would be a good choice. So interestingly, as I say, Primord Infected, I hope you're still out there. The Primords, believe it or not, and if you haven't got a clue what a Primord is, you just need to go and watch Inferno and you'll find out. But they're actually named in the credits, but never on screen. So they're one of those monsters that are we've kind of named Primords, but they're never actually named on screen as being Primords. Episode 4, as I say, that was screening this week in 1970, is one of the best episodes actually of Inferno, and I won't sort of spoil anything for you, but there is a strand of the storyline that kind of reaches its fruition in Inferno episode 4, and we're only halfway through the story at this point, but there is a cataclysmic end to a storyline at the end of episode 4, and it builds to one of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who history, because it just builds and builds and builds until the point that the Doctor has got a gun pointing at him, and a countdown reaches 0, and the credits come in, and it's just magnificent. So a few little facts about Inferno for you. It was directed by Douglas Camfield, except it actually wasn't. Episode 4 certainly wasn't. It was directed by Barry Letts, because Douglas Camfield bless him, had a minor heart attack halfway through production on Inferno, and so he filmed the first. I think he recorded the location footage in the first studio block, and the second. There might even have been 3 studio blocks. Certainly, Barry Letts directs a good half of Inferno, of which episode 4 is one, because he literally just had to step in and take over. Douglas Camfield could not carry on, bless him. And interestingly, John Pertwee, that we can see on screen there, John Pertwee clashed with Douglas Camfield while he was directing the show. Apparently, they reported there was a massive argument between Pertwee and Camfield via the production assistant, Chris Doyley John, who I think I'm right in saying is the brother of Caroline John, who plays Liz Shaw. Anyway, Sheila Dunn, who plays Petra, she intervened in this argument and sort of calmed it all down. And then it wasn't actually that long afterwards, bless him, that Douglas Camfield had this minor heart attack. I'm sure it was completely unrelated, but the fact remains it gives an idea of the sort of tensions that were on set during Inferno. Petra, as I say, who's played by Sheila Dunn, was actually the part was originally offered to Kate O'Mara. Incredibly. And,
I can see that. I can totally see that, Simon.
Yeah, can't you? You can. When you think about it,
Kate O'Mara, she was at her sexiest around 1970s, between 70 and 72, I think.
She was a vamp in those days, wasn't she? She would have commanded attention at that point. And I think I'm right in saying that Sheila Dunn is the wife of Douglas Camfield. Somebody in the chat will know
That's
that.
right, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
I'm right, Sam. I thank you for that. Couple of finals for Inferno. It's the final appearance of the original console prop for the TARDIS. The last time we were in Inferno that we ever see the original Hartnell console. It's retired after that, and they bring a new one into clause of access. It's the last time we see the green. It's the last time we see the green console. It's also the last story to use stock music. After this, they always had the original music composed, but up until this point, they occasionally used stock music, and Inferno is one of those. And a lot of the cues were actually composed by Delia Derbyshire, and that actually makes Inferno the kind of closest that we ever get to a score for Doctor Who by Delia Derbyshire, the original theme composer.
It has got a unique ambience, hasn't it? This story, it feels isolated somehow. Even from, I mean, season 7 sometimes that kind of feels isolated from what had come before and what had come after, and Inferno seems isolated from the other stories in this season.
It's in really a world of its own. It's very, very bleak. It's very unforgiving and uncompromising. Inferno. There's not a lot of laughs. Let's just say that. What you're looking at there is this poster that goes up on all walls in the alternative universe, and that's Jack Kine, the guy from the BBC visual effects department. The head of it, they just shot a photo of Jack Kine and stuck it up on the wall.
Can I just say, Jack Kine, bless him. Sorry to break your flow, but I just can't not mention this as Jack Kine's on the screen there. This lovely man. I used to work at an independent record shop, and Jack Kine used to come in, and it was lovely. But I didn't know who he was. I was quite young. This is like back in 2001, and he used to come in, and he was a bit eccentric, and he was one of those customers that used to talk for England, and the other guys would roll their eyes, and he used to always go on about the fact he invented the Daleks and he made the Daleks. And I was quite young, and I'm sorry to say I was quite dismissive, because he would leave. I'd listen to his stories and I'd be like, oh yeah, no clue who he was. He would leave, and I'd always turn to my boss and say, he didn't invent the Daleks, that was Terry Nation, and who's the guy who actually designed it that got like
Ray Cusick.
Ray Cusick, bless him. So I was really dismissive of Jack Kine, and then, when I finally got to watch Inferno, which is, I agree, an absolute stellar story, one of my favourites of all time, to see Jack Kine's face on the wall just was like, just absolutely, I just couldn't believe it. And I felt so bad for not actually listening to this guy more and giving him more time. I was young, in my defence, it's like and he was one of those customers that no one really wanted to serve him because they knew they couldn't get away from him because he just liked to talk and talk and talk and talk. But now, I tell you, if I could go back in a TARDIS, I would give that man all the time in the world. I had no idea who he was. He passed away. And then, to see his face pop up in Inferno was a shock for me. I don't know how many years it was after I actually spoke to him in the store. But man, every time I see that man's face, I can see him coming towards the counter, and boy, do I wish I'd listened and talked to him more.
It's funny, isn't it? Because with these stories, particularly the classic ones, and even when we see misty photos of them, these people, they seem almost the stuff of legend, Sarah.
Yeah.
And we forget that they had lives. They were normal people. They got up, they went to work, went home, went to bed, they ate their tea, they went to the toilet just as we did. And they had lives before as well as after Doctor Who, normal everyday lives. And yet, I've no doubt, Simon, we've heard this several times, where people would go and further in their career or change career path entirely, and they would say, "Oh, I used to work on Doctor Who, didn't I?" And you can imagine, can't you, like the situation that Adam was in? Oh, yeah. It's like, well, particularly when it's the kind of, we all know the old boys who will talk your head off like that, or just eccentric people. There's that person who'll sit next to you on a bus and say, I can piss over a bus stop, and you go, yeah, okay, mate, that kind of thing. And so if somebody says, "I created the Daleks," and they don't, but people do.
The arrogance of my youth, Dan, of just dismissing him because me thinking, "Oh, he didn't invent the Daleks. I know who invented it." The arrogance of my young self thinking I knew better than him, instead of actually just listening to him and, "Oh, you designed it. You're in design." I really wish I could go back.
But the thing is, everyone was like that though when we were teenagers. We thought we knew it all, right? So.
Yeah. And I didn't recognize him. It's not like now when you have social media and that it's not. It's a different time. This is early 2000s. I don't think his picture was ever in any of the Doctor Who books or anything like that. I just wouldn't have known him. Yeah. No, I wouldn't have known that face at all. Whereas if it was nowadays, you would know him. But yeah, boy, was it great to see his face pop up in Inferno. I tell you, I just love seeing him.
And as Paul Murray says in the chat, he has got a great face and it works really well.
He has. And that's exactly how I picture him, with that little moustache. And what a face. Look at it. Amazing.
Well, it really is. It's a cracker of a story. And as I say, I just what I said at the top. You, Ian, you must love it.
I love it. I truly love it. And I love the pacing of especially episode 4 as well, and the cliffhanger on episode 4. It's crazy to think that... Again, it's crazy to think that the stories they do these days is not even a shade on what they did.
I agree.
They had less money. Do you know what I mean?
That's the kind of story. It's all in the scripting with Inferno. The scripting. Well, no, that's to do the direction a disservice, and I don't mean that. But it starts with an absolute corker of a script, and that's what works so brilliantly. And of course, let's not forget that the script was created out of desperation, because it started as a 4-parter, and there just wasn't enough material, and so they create this parallel universe within the story, and that's when it really takes off. So I think it would be an average story if it wasn't for the genius of Terence Dicks, who came up with the idea of the parallel universe.
And also, it didn't cost them any more money, because they were just using the same set, the same actors.
It's the performances that make it as well.
Yes, you're right.
You can tell they're all relishing.
Yeah.
It has to be said that with every passing year, Sarah, and the more people get to see it, the more available it is to, not just on physical media, but to stream, the more people love it. I think you're right. I think that there's a camp, there's a divide in Doctor Who fans between those who haven't seen it and those who love it. I don't think I've met anybody who doesn't.
The more I see of Pertwee, I was only watching Pertwee a couple of days ago, the more I realise that he's the one that stands out when it comes to all the Doctors, because his Doctor was completely different. I mean, Patrick copied a bit from the first Doctor, but John was completely divorced from anything before and after, because after there was this kind of thing that he has to be whimsical and and all this stuff. But John was like action.
John was very straight. John was very
straight, right across the board, and that's why I like. That's what I like.
Yeah, well, he had to entertain us, just being stuck on Earth.
Yeah.
Which is a big ask. When you haven't got other planets and things to travel to. So and his era is just incredible.
And he used to chop people in the neck as well.
He was double hard, wasn't he? Double hard, Pertwee.
He does a bit of that in Inferno. And just to finish off on Inferno, it clearly is a good Pertwee story, because it's come top in all 4 major Doctor Who monthly polls, or is it Doctor Who magazine now? It's come top in all of the last four major polls as the favourite Pertwee story. It always beats The Demons. It always comes top. So it genuinely is the best. So happy birthday to Inferno 53 years ago. Right, okay. From the utterly sublime to the arguably ridiculous, because we go back 18 years to 2005 and we find Boomtown, which was screening on our BBC Ones back in 2005. This I don't hold in quite such high regards to Inferno.
But you can't compare it to
You're quite right,
apples
Sarah.
and oranges.
You are quite right, Sarah. I'm being a bit cheeky.
It does feature the Earth opening up, doesn't it? Having said that,
interestingly, Dan. Sorry, go on, Sarah.
No, I was going to say the same thing. It's fine.
Because interestingly, this is the first time we get to see the Cardiff space-time rift. This is the first time it's sort of introduced, and then obviously goes on to much greater significance in Torchwood. It's also the first story to be set in present-day Cardiff. Which is odd when you think about it, because that 2005 series was so rooted in being made in Cardiff, but this was the first time that they actually set it in present day Cardiff. Anyway, of course, this was the story that reintroduced us to Blon Felfoch Passamir de Slitheen.
Easy for you to say.
Well done, Simon. Well done.
Simon, I have to say.
Read it out from my little notes here on screen.
Well done.
And this is the one I have a bit of a problem with this episode, simply because this is the one where Rose turns nasty against her boyfriend, which I just really had a problem with this at the time, and I still have a problem now. She was really nasty to Mickey, and I love Rose to pieces. I think she's a brilliant character, beautifully portrayed, but I just had a problem with the scripting in this. They relished too much in making Mickey look an idiot, I felt, and I didn't.
Can I just say that again? Right, I don't know how. This must be a coincidence. I watched this last month, and I was always amazed when Mickey comes off the train. It's those old doors that you open. You know, I remember those trains.
They must have been the very last trains like that around.
Must be.
I absolutely agree, Simon. But and really, the Rose and Mickey scenes, they really spoil this.
They're uncomfortable to watch. You see, for me, Sarah, I actually think that they missed a bit of a trick with this, because what is the strongest thing about Boomtown? It's that scene set at the long scene set in the restaurant, which, by the way, was filmed in Bistro 10. I'm not sure whether Bistro 10 is still there in Cardiff Bay, but you can probably go and recreate it. You could do a pilgrimage out to the location. But so for me, what I would have done, I would have been brave with this, and I would have just had pretty much the entire episode in the restaurant, so that it was just bookended, obviously, with them arriving in Cardiff and then leaving. And I'd have focused on the rest. The Doctor, I'd have been brave, and I'd have gone for the Doctor and Margaret Blaine in that restaurant and nothing else. I'd have stayed in the restaurant.
That's a great idea.
Absolutely,
good to do that, and because the Mickey Rose stuff just feels really tacked on. Captain Jack is just the most irritating he's ever been and ever will.
But it's just a spell, and even that he doesn't do anything, does it? He's fixing that.
He's just smug and arrogant, and it's just not very pleasant. So I did just. Whereas, as I say, the gold is in that scene in the restaurant. Anyway, you might be interested to know that the French title of Boomtown is actually The Cardiff Explosion, or L'Explosion.
I like that.
L'Explosion de Cardiff, if you prefer. And the Japanese title is The Sorrowful Slitheen.
Oh, that's a nice title.
I like
that.
Nice title.
Yeah. I did like how they kind of developed the Slitheen, because
so did I.
We're a bit of a joke, weren't they? In the first time we see him, and how much what Margaret brings to that performance. I mean, and that
scene, you know, that scene in the toilets when she's with that woman who's pregnant, she's going to kill her, and it's just beautiful. It's that kind of stuff, that character stuff, that works well in a way that I don't think the Slitheen worked very well in.
I didn't think the humour works too well though in this episode, especially coming from Chris. I didn't think the humour. I don't think he does humour very well, in my opinion. But
no, he's quite self-facing. He's quite self-facing about that, isn't he? It's a difficult thing to get right, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah.
That precise balance to flip between the serious and that slightly, if not comedic side to the Doctor, a whimsiness and a lightness of touch. They've got to really, really be connected with the character to do that. Do you think Chris ever got it right?
Do you know, it's funny because I think when Chris moans about not being helped, you know, when he moans about his time on the show and why he left after one season, I think of Boomtown, and I don't know why. It's just because of the humour, I think, because I can see that he's not hitting the mark, and I would feel that if I was him watching about my performance, he would feel that. And whenever he talks about his problems and issues with the direction and not getting helped with the character, I think of Boomtown and I think of those scenes. So I don't think he does get it right. Yeah,
it's down to the director and it's down to the writer, I guess. But the thing is, Dave, the director wasn't helping him on set because he's known for being a bit difficult on set as well. So maybe it's a combination.
I can imagine.
Yes,
it's interesting because supposedly, reportedly, it was on Boomtown that Chris Eccleston and Russell T Davies had their big argument, and literally, and reportedly, allegedly, literally came to blows during the filming. And Noel Clarke and John Barrowman allegedly had to pull them apart.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
but what was the argument about?
Who knows? Who can say? Well, probably about whatever it was that Chris was unhappy about at this point with Doctor Who, which was Chris, and I'm putting words in Chris's mouth. Chris, come on the show and tell us what actually went wrong. But by all accounts, it just seems that Chris did not agree with the direction that the show was being taken in. It wasn't where he was expecting.
Farting aliens, I would agree.
Could well be. And so, I say, allegedly, this is where they had their big punch-up that really led to the kind of collapse of the whole thing. Which
I heard it slightly different. I mean, I hadn't heard about the alleged physical fracas between the two men, but I heard it slightly differently, that all of Chris's problems with the show were more down to the way the production was run, not the scripting, not the creative aspect,
as well.
but the morality and the culture of the production, of passing the buck, of respecting crew, technicians, and staff who weren't on screen. He felt very strongly that those people weren't being treated as well as they could have done. He's spoken about that several times. So I'm not saying that there wasn't something else there could have been, but that's always since he's been speaking. That's always what he points to: a culture, something that he felt that by being there, he was continuing to endorse and say was okay.
Yes.
Whatever it was, I think it does come across in his performance, because there is I think why Boomtown sticks in my mind for those reasons is because there is a lack of confidence in his performance with the delivery of the comedy. And it stands out most of all in that story.
That's it. I think it's really, really interesting because one of my favourite lines in the entire series one, is that line when he wants to go in to see Margaret, and the aide makes an excuse, and the doctor says she's climbing out a window, isn't she? And the aide says, yeah. And the timing is just great. And his delivery of that line, he gets the humour.
That's really good.
It's beautifully delivered, actually. So it's a bit of a dichotomy. I mean, I think that the Boomtown itself is a bit of a dichotomy. It doesn't know whether it's trying to be comedy or super serious.
Who wrote it?
On one hand, you've got this super serious scene in the restaurant, which is really hard hitting, that actually unpicks the entire moral ethos of Doctor Who the series. And then you've got these really weird Scooby-Doo kind of comedy moments. And then you've got Rose and Mickey being Hollyoaks, and it feels a bit of a, I don't know, it feels a bit of a mishmash. It doesn't quite work for me.
See, I thought it's one of those episodes that's grown on me over the years, Sarah. And to us, who'd seen the show before and were wondering what this new version of Doctor Who, how it was going to work, how it was going to function, because it looked and felt so different. This was one of the things that more glaringly that we'd never had before. People in the live chat here on YouTube and Facebook, lots of comments. Thank you for it all your memories here. I've heard this mentioned several times just here. Just it's filler. It's a nothing episode.
Yeah, well, it's a bottle episode. It was very.
It's treading water.
And people talk about this and label that exactly as they do the long game, as it's just filler, it's just this, it's just that. I personally don't think that's the case. I think what we get here in both of those episodes are episodes that we never got in the classic series, in that they are, if you take them away from the shape and the mechanics of the entire season, they seem like not very much at all, but they're actually integral functioning parts of Series 1, of the themes of Series 1. And without both of those two episodes and plots and characters and threads and development that flow in and out of them, I wouldn't say the rest of it wouldn't make any sense, but we wouldn't have some of the punch that we get in the finale. And so I think then, I wouldn't even call them necessary evils. I think they were the show coming back, changing format and thinking, okay, this is... They get this on American TV too, and American TV at the time used to make 20-odd episodes per year, and they did. There was filler then, Ian, and they call them filler over there. Yeah. But I think to dismiss this, I mean, if people skip I haven't said that. If people are watching a season and decide to skip either this or the long game, I get why you would, but I do think that it's slightly unfair to dismiss them as filler. That's just
because this thing that this plot point, like setting up Satellite 5 and the heart of the TARDIS, so there's some beats that they do set up. But I mean, I remember the first time I watched Boomtown, and I actually was concerned at the end because when they take Margaret back when she's an egg, and they say, she can have a second chance, and Rose says that would be nice, and she's upset because Mickey's gone, and I thought, oh my god, she's going to leave at the end of the series and go back to ordinary life with Mickey. I thought that's the way it was going. So
you know what, it's a shame that Chris didn't carry on to season 2, because I think all that stuff that happened, whether what Dan was saying or what you were saying about him, right, he should have really put up with it, and he would have been better, because as it came towards the ending of that run, he was just getting the hang of it, as far as I can tell, as the Doctor. So
I agree.
Undoubtedly, it is. I think it is a great shame that he didn't carry on. But then if he carried on, he wouldn't have had David Tennant, almost certainly. So
I would have liked to have seen another season of Chris, for sure.
Yeah, so would I.
I think
so because he would have tailored his writing towards Chris learning from season 1. He would have tailored it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He's phenomenal in Part of the Ways, though. I love that episode when he sends Rhodes back, and then he's got that stern look. He's like you said, he's really good in the performance by then.
I mean, that's one of the things about Boomtown. It does begin to build up to the sort of grand finale. This Boomtown, of course, is the first time we actually get a major recognition of Bad Wolf. So it's setting up the whole Bad Wolf stuff as well. A final little fact about Boomtown: it was originally going to be called Dining with Monsters, which I think tells you all you need to know. Dining with Monsters. What a brilliant title for a story. Anyway, moving on. Far too much to talk about. I haven't got enough time. So moving on to a couple of birthdays to finish off this week. And Pearl Mackie, bless her, was 36 last Monday.
Just a child.
Wow, that's a bit of a shot, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
Bit of side bit there. Great work, Pearl. Keep it.
She never looked like that in Doctor Who. That's sure.
That should have been her outfit.
It doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, does it? So Pearl Mackie, bless her, was 36 last Monday. So of course she played Bill Potts. No relation to our own Matt Potts, but maybe there is a relation to Matt Potts. Who can say? So of course she was in Doctor Who started off in the pilot and went up as far as Twice Upon a Time. But Pearl grew up in Brixton. Like her character, she went to university in Bristol. Nice little bit of crossover there. She then went on to do some work at the Bristol Old Vic, and she began acting, bless her, at the age of 10 when she played Nancy in the school production of Oliver.
Oh,
Look at that! That is
what a cutie.
Gorgeous, bless her heart.
That is a cute baby. She started her Doctor Who actually was her very first starring role on television. So, like many actresses before her, who started off such as Nicola Bryant, whose first major role on television was Doctor Who. Pearl Mackie was no exception. And absolute respect to Pearl. She names her role models as Aretha Franklin, Beyonce, Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, and dear, sadly missed Tina Turner. So she's got some good role models there, has Pearl.
Well, she could have named. What about Bernard Breslau?
Do you know he's not down? He's not there.
It's a shame, really. I thought she was really good as the companion. It's a shame that they added all that crap into it. But it's a shame did she only do one season?
Yeah. Well, sort of one and a bitish kind of thing. Yeah.
It's a shame.
She came back to hologram.
I would have liked to have seen more of 12 and Bill.
Yeah, because she worked really well with Peter, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
My personal feeling is she didn't work well with Peter. I think she would have worked much better with Matt Smith. She seems like a real Matt Smith companion rather than a Peter Capaldi one. Just me personally.
I can see that, yeah.
I can see that as well. I think I just liked her because she didn't have the baggage of Clara.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
you're right, but I still thought it got terribly bogged down with all the lesbian relationship.
Yeah, it did.
Just ditch that. That felt very tokenism. Just felt like, let's just make it gay.
Well, it was stated. It was stated a lot, wasn't it, rather than explored? And you think, well, if rather than just sort of, and people mention it in the live chat now, people have got long memories, and so for it just to be dropped into the most innocent of conversations, for the character just turn around and say, by the way, I'm basically look at the camera and go, I'm gay. Rather than to actually for it to come up in conversation, people are talking about their loved ones back home, and I miss my girlfriend, or that's the way people actually speak. You don't introduce yourself to a total stranger and talk about your sexual orientation. At least I haven't, not for a few years anyway.
It all felt a little bit in your face, didn't it? It was where we started feeling like I think we were getting hit over the head.
It made me feel, with hindsight, Simon, that it meant that Stephen Moffat wasn't as confident in writing that string to the character's bow as he was other characters, and as if he was sort of feeling it out somehow with hindsight. And that's not something you get with Stephen Moffat's characters very often.
Well, he was tired, wasn't he? He wanted to come off Doctor Who, and he was very tired.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And also the BBC was pounding him with the agenda thing. You have to write this has to be in it, and stuff like that. So I don't really blame him. I mean, towards the end of the day, he was writing for the money. He wasn't writing for the love of it. And that's
to be honest, I don't think he was even writing the money. He was writing because he was told to keep on doing it. He wasn't really allowed to come off it too a lot.
But I do like Pearl Mackie, and I think she's a great actress, and it's a shame that Peter and her stopped where they stopped, in my opinion. So
Matthew mentions in the chat here her only personality trait was her sexuality.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is, thanks for the comment, Matthew. Again, I'm going to say you're wrong. I'm sorry, but I think Matthew's
right.
I think that Matthew is wrong, but wrong with a small W. But unfortunately, with the passage of time, I think there was far more to the character, and I think that Pearl actually reached into it and did find a lot of that, and I could have seen more of that. But I think the problem was that those sides to her character weren't dropped with as regularity.
Well, I think possibly what it also is, Dan, is that because it did feel quite blunt and quite it overshadowed the nuances of the character. It's just like, Bill's the gay character.
Far better than I was.
But it's true. It's true.
I think that's probably what Matthew means.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, because like when I was watching, I was thinking, this is great. He's the lecturer and she's the student. And I was thinking, he's going to show. Yeah, he's going to show us something magical, but he never did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was grumpy and stuff.
Right.
That's what you wanted for that relationship, for her to be the student and him to be the, you know, the teacher, and showing her what life is all about and magical stuff and stuff like that. But he didn't in the end. He was just grumpy and
you're right.
Yeah, it's just
right.
Yeah.
Well,
never give us what we want in Doctor Who.
Well,
They never do.
There was too much going off, because at the same time as setting Bill up, we've got all the who was in the vault. Let's have another clue this week.
Oh yeah.
And it would just, I think it was just too much. I think if they'd have just concentrated on their relationship.
You're right, Sarah. It just needed a good doctor companion relationship, just going off and having adventures, didn't it? That's what it needed, I think, at that point in time. It just all gets a little bit heavy and bogged down.
I think time's been kind of kind to that character and that pairing. And come to think of it, the three of them, the cast from Series 10, it doesn't seem 6 years ago, does it, Adam? Since
not at all. I was just thinking as well, because I liked Pearl as a character, but do you remember she had that introductory Bill as a character? I mean, but do you remember she had that introductory video before?
Friend from the future.
Introduced it, and it was quite bad. I remember thinking it wasn't a good first impression, because they made her really yappy and
really annoying, Adam.
Really annoying.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh dear.
You just wanted to bring it down, didn't you? You did.
Yeah. So I'm glad that when she finally, was in the series properly, she actually turned out to be a good companion for Capaldi. I think they did work well together. I loved Capaldi being a tutor. I thought it was lovely.
It worked for me as well. Yeah,
it works for me. But I mean, unfortunately, you were hoping that the Doctor would do something magical for the students, do something that would show. You know what I mean? He didn't do anything. He just talk, and not, grumpy most of the time. You're like, well, come on, do something that will make us think you're the Doctor. Show her something, and it just go up in the end.
Well, yeah, because there was that thing where he noticed her because she kept coming to his lectures, and I'm thinking. But why? All you've done is talk.
one little, because she even says, I've been to some of your lessons, but I don't understand what you're teaching. I could you tell me what your major is or what you're thinking? And he didn't. He obviously didn't. Did he? He didn't have one. So, but it's just I don't know.
Did you guys like Nardal as a? Did you like Nardal?
I liked him. I grew to like him. I grew to like him.
Yeah, I grew to like him.
Do you know what? Right, Simon.
Same.
Right. The time when the bit when I liked him was and I hate that episode, the one with the superhero, the Christmas one. Because when the ship was crashing, their banter was absolutely hilarious when the ship was crashing, and that's when I got it. I got that relationship right there and then, and it's a shame really it didn't carry on. But I thought he was quite funny personally, but it's just me, right?
I was surprised. I liked him as well. Yeah, he grew on me. I thought he was going to be really annoying, but I grew to really like him as well.
Remember that bit where he comes out the toilet and he goes, "I'd leave it for 5 minutes if I was you." I thought it was hilarious. He
was in it just enough for me, like this little side character. He wasn't too domineering. I thought.
Anyway,
well.
before we move on from dear old Pearl, just one little factoid for you. That's an interesting little story. That apparently, when they were casting the role, instead of for the auditions, instead of using the word Doctor Who on all of the casting documents, they used the code word Meantown, which was an anagram of Woman 10, which is of course she was the 10th female companion on the BBC Wales show. So there you go. There's your little fact.
I think well, before we move on, I think we have to look at this again. It's like pretty much all mine are grown up now, so I see pictures like this thing. Fabulous stuff.
It's really cute, baby. You can see Pearl in that face, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, happy birthday,
the Doctor Who family. This is what we mean, isn't it, Simon? They are family.
Absolutely. Happy birthday to Pearl for last Monday. Hope you had a brilliant birthday. And very finally for tonight on the diary, we look back rather sadly, actually, to dear old Linda Bellingham, bless her, she would have been 75 yesterday. Had she sadly not died. I can't believe she died in 2014.
I love Linda Bellingham.
Don't we all? Doesn't the whole world? Again, show me somebody that doesn't love.
Yeah, she's everybody's mum. That's how I know of it. She was the Bisto mum. That's how
Bisto mum.
She's the Oxo mum, actually, to be completely.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
it's
that's
the
right.
Oxo
Yeah.
Mum, yeah.
Bless her, she's the Oxo mum. But yeah, she was the
Mhm.
Oxo mum, believe it or not, Sarah, in 42 episodes.
Wow.
Incredibly, they ran from 1983 to 1999. Those Oxo.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Well, they did because they brought them back. I think the main run was sort of 83 to, what was it, about 88, 89, 90, something like that. And then they did bring them back. National treasure, Matthew Pounder, absolutely 100%. Interestingly, a few factoids about Linda. She was born in Montreal, actually, not Britain at all. She was born in Montreal, and her real name was Meredith Lee Hughes.
Did not know that.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, we know her for those who might not know their classic series quite so well. She played the Inquisitor throughout the Trial of a Time Lord, 13 episodes. Latterly, in those stories, the Big Finish stories that came after Trial of a Time Lord, when Linda Bellingham returns, we get the name of she's actually playing Inquisitor Darkel. She's given a name in the Big Finish Big Shortios for Gallifrey plays. She did 11 Gallifrey plays for Big Finish.
Those were great. Yeah, she was really good.
Yeah, she's good. She's brilliant in them because, again, I've said about this before now about Big Finish plays. She's got a distinctive voice, unlike a lot of people who are on Big Finish plays, where you just lose because they all sound exactly the same. Linda Bellingham had such a distinctive voice. You were in no doubt you were listening to her. She started her career on television started back in 1971, but she really came to fame, obviously, with the Oxo adverts, and then. She replaced Carol Drinkwater as Helen in All Creatures Great and Small. Yes, she did regenerate in All Creatures. Pete Harrington, you're quite correct. She replaced Carol Drinkwater as Helen. But she was also she's one of those actresses, when you look on her IMDb listing, it's as long as your arm, the credits. She played in Angels.
All manner of things, yeah.
She did everything. Angels, The Bill. Of course, she was in Loose Women a lot. She was one of the regular presenters. She was in Blake 7, Shoestring. She did quite a few Jack and Norris. Don't forget, she also did At Home with the Braithwaites with Peter Davison.
Was she in that? I never saw that.
She was in Sweeney the movie as well.
Yes.
Was she?
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yes, I remember that scene very well.
I'm sure you did.
She was back in the 70s. She did a lot of those sort of cheeky comedy star movies and the crime thrillers and things like that. So she was always, very often, she'd go braless too. I don't know why I noticed these things. And so she was always, Linda Bellingham was always somebody that I had a bit of a crush on. I just thought she was lovely. And to be honest, every time I saw it on TV, I don't ever think I saw her be bad in anything. I mean, I'm a massive Blake 7 fan. The episode of Blake 7 that she's in is mostly frigging terrible.
It's terrible.
She's great in it.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, Trial of a Time Lord is questionable, but she's one of the best things about it, undoubtedly. Whatever you think of Trial of a Time Lord, she is, throughout the whole 13 episodes, every time the camera just settles on her, you almost breathe a sigh of relief because what she does is just
seasoned actor. She's a seasoned actor. She knows how to take crappy lines and make something of it.
Well, she had so much gravitas in that Inquisitor.
They know how to do it.
In fact, I think you're probably right. Maybe even more so because and I love Michael Jaston in that, but he got to chew the scenery, didn't he? She was the sort of anchor in many respects.
Also, the truth of it is, Michael Jaston is, to use Sarah's word, gravitas is coming out of his ears. Michael Jaston comes with enormous gravitas, and yet she really brilliantly holds her own against Michael Jaston. And there's never a point that I don't believe the lines she's saying and the character she's playing in the Trial of a Time Lord.
Because she's a great actress, and also he is as well. The worst person in I'm afraid to say in a Trial of a Time Lords is Colin Baker. I thought he was over the top, really pushing it out.
He goes over the top in the way that that Michael Jaston and Linda Bellingham doesn't.
Yeah.
They underplayed, and Linda, even more than Michael, really underplays her part. And so when on occasion she does actually explode with anger, you really believe she makes
you sit up and listen, don't you? It's got a kind of shock value. Well, you're a big classic series fan, Adam. Were you watching in the 80s?
Yes, definitely, Dan. In fact, I'm probably more of a classic series fan than a new series in the sense that I watch more of the classic era like now. I love going back to the classic era. I mean,
I've just seen the look on Simon's face. It's to say, yeah, he can come back.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the series since it's returned, in 2005. I enjoy, the RTD era, but there is something about the classic era that just draws me back to every time. I love it. And I'm a huge stories and characters. That's the thing. It's the characters. That's like, I love Blake 7. It's my absolute favorite show of all time. Sorry, Doctor Who. But I love Blake 7 like you, Dan. And it's not because of the sets or anything. It's because of the characters and the actors and the interaction between the cast. There is something magical about television in the 70s and 80s, I think. I just love it. So yeah, classic series all the way for me. But I do love the new series as well. But classic series has the edge.
Do you think as well what you've just said about, and it's not just the classic show itself, but actors and actresses? I'm thinking of a lot of the people that we see in Doctor Who, people like Maurice Colborne, being a kind of male equivalent. They turn up in all of these things, and they often play such wildly different characters. Colborne would sometimes play a copper, sometimes play a crim. Linda would sometimes play a mum, sometimes play a tart. Yes, and you believed sometimes selling on these characters in 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't see that in actors now, Sarah. Actors or actresses.
That's because they were trained differently to the way actors are trained now. It was all about being on the stage. These actors come from the stage, so they would have to perform, for 45 minutes straight sometimes on stage. So they knew their craft like the back of their hand.
They had to know their craft, didn't they? Because otherwise they would have died on stage.
Exactly.
And the way you think.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to reiterate that. You think about Blake 7. I think nearly all of the cast were theatre actors, weren't they? Yeah.
But the reason why it worked so well is because that the BBC used to shoot like it was on stage. They'd have 6 cameras or 4 cameras around, and they literally had to perform all the scene all at once, like you're on stage. So these actors were used to things like this, especially working with the BBC, and that's the way the BBC used to shoot drama in those days. Yeah. So that's how good they were. They could hold their own without making a mistake.
And I think one of the things that seems to be missing nowadays from television, and when you watch the extras on the Doctor Who Blue DVDs and stuff, they talk about rehearsal and get to know each other and working through scenes, and they would say, "Oh, that's a good idea. We'll put that in. No, that's not good." And apparently, the way they make television nowadays, they don't rehearse together. They go in, read the script, shoot, and I just think, how are you supposed to have any chemistry between your actors, if you're not rehearsing? And I think that's what shows in Blake 7 and Doctor Who from the classic era. Is you can tell that those actors have worked through.
Our panelist, Barnaby, who's presently on tour, everybody, that's why he hasn't been on for a while. Barnaby's spoken about that, hasn't he, Ian? About working, kind of, I suppose, workshopping, they call it now, but working out what the exchange between the characters is and going through those as a unit, going through those dynamics, each and every one, not just doing sort of table readings, but spending time with the person you're going to have. And you do that with your actors too, don't you, Ian, when you're...
I used to. It's only because, if you have the time, you can do that. I mean, I know when they made Godfather 2, that big house in Godfather 2, they put all the actors in there for a whole 2 months so they can get to know each other, and then they shot the film. So there you go. So you're absolutely right, but only if you have the time to do that. And quite frankly, TV's moving so fast, especially the way productions are happening. They don't really have the time to do that now anymore, which is a shame.
It's like a production line.
That's exactly what it is. It's literally a production line these days. So they just rehearse, record. They just blast it out because time is money.
But it's very very clinical, isn't it? When they do that, you can almost feel it on the screen. It's just
I hate to say this. I was directing something recently, and I said, "We're going to do it in a one, guys. We're just going to do this. We're going to push in and stuff like that." And the actors were really scared. They were scared
because suddenly the focus was on them. They got to get it right.
Got to get it right.
Rely on the cutting.
And in those days, they knew that they were used to that.
Yeah,
so they had to be that good. So that's why they're good. So
absolutely.
There's a phrase, Simon, that I see used a lot now. Through social media in particular, Happy Heavenly Birthday is something I see floating around. Have you seen that one, Sarah? Where people use that, don't they? About actors and actresses who are no longer with us.
And I think that's just perfect for Linda Bellingham. Couple of final little facts on dear old Linda. Believe it or not, you showed a photo earlier on, Dan, of Warriors of the Deep. She was actually considered for the part of Preston in Warriors of the Deep. Was
I can see that.
So she might have ended up in Doctor Who a lot earlier than Trial of a Time Lord. And did you know she wrote 2 autobiographies and 2 novels? The second autobiography she wrote once she knew that I think it was called "I've Been Dying to Tell You Something," bless her, because it was the one where she was saying she's got cancer and she's dying. She was given an OBE in 2014, the year that she died. She was given an OBE for her charity work because she just brought so much attention to cancer charities. And sadly, she lost a fight to colon cancer at age 66 in 2014.
Wow.
That's a shame.
And we salute her. We really do. I mean, she was working right up to the end, and she appeared on television looking very, very poorly for the very reason that she wanted to bring attention to what she was doing.
She was a naturally glamorous woman, wasn't she? She wasn't an old brat. She was a very beautiful woman, and so for her to be comfortable appearing on television, not looking her best but still beaming, I think that says a lot for the heart of the woman, Sarah.
And as Ian says, she was a professional, and she was a professional to the end. There's no two ways about that. And again, as I say, I defy anybody to not love Linda Bellingham. Never met anybody that doesn't love her. So
thank you.
Happy birthday up there, Linda Bellingham, wherever you are.
Yeah,
thank you. Well, a lovely tribute, Simon, and a fantastic assortment of all our memories of Doctor Who days and people and performances past. Some more crowd pleasing than others. Please let us know what you think of Inferno, of Part 4 of Inferno, of Pearl Mackie. That's Bill Potts of Boomtown 2 and everything else. What have they got to do, Simon? What have they got to do out there?
They've got to like and subscribe. It's all you have to do.
Yeah, please hit the
like
like button. Yeah. Of
Yes,
course,
please come back.
Go you tell them, Sarah. Go and tell them what have they got to do.
You got to like and subscribe and come back.
Yeah, and what have they got to hit? What have they got to hit?
You got to hit the bell.
The cloister bell.
Hit the cloister bell, of course.
Also, they need to do comments because that's what.
Yeah, comments on the YouTube video. Comments on the YouTube
We
video
have a really good comment section on these videos. Lots of ideas, lots of observations and recommendations as well for further viewing, courtesy often of Crimple in Doubloon. We love all that stuff. So please keep it coming. Keep the conversation. It's a good-natured conversation that people have there, and that's very much appreciated too, as is the Doctor Who Diary. Thanks so much for putting it together, Simon. It's always a joy. And you can see the reaction it gets there in the live chat across YouTube and Facebook too. Closed for another week. Who knows where we'll go next? Oh, yeah, one more thing. Almost forgot, everybody. We can't go without... Yeah, we can't go. It's been another long show, but we can't go without looking at some pretty pictures, I think. And yeah, this is the point where I remind you that I love it when people do this because they get in touch, Sarah. They get in touch and they send us artists that they're concerned that we might not have seen or found. You know, people with their own Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts where they're showing off their artwork. And we'd love to see all that because I think we've all got certain accounts that we go back to because we like what they do. But we can't see everything because it's such a creative fan base. And that's no different this week. In fact, we've got one of our very own viewers who is a fan artist, has sent in his latest work too and asked us to give it our honest opinion. So last week on the show, we talked extensively, didn't we, about the Paul McGann Doctor and that brand new unofficial Doctor Who annual for 1997, courtesy of Terraqueous Books. I've learned to say it now, everybody. Well, that stimulated the Thin King to create this beautiful piece of artwork here. We've got
that's lovely.
Wow.
That's lovely.
I like that.
Nice colours,
gorgeous.
I love the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I mean, isn't it interesting? You see a piece of artwork like that, and I immediately want to just dip into that. I want to be part of that. I want to see whatever that is promoting. Whereas you see something like, I don't want to hark back to it, but some of that Doom artwork that we saw earlier, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to go with this because it just knocks the socks off it, doesn't it?
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's sort of it's a romanticized. They're romanticized likenesses, but it really works because the film has, obviously it looks different from every other Doctor Who story that we've ever had. I mean, I think Ian, you're always saying about how it looks incredible.
It does.
But we've got that sort of, particularly with Eric Roberts there as the master, it's this kind of romanticized look. It's almost like it could be a book cover artwork or something. I'd really like this.
Yeah, it's just, as you say, it's very romanticized. It's very Byron-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, it fits with the character.
Yeah, perfectly fits with the character.
We've got several wows in the live chat here on YouTube and Facebook. Whoniverse Archives 1. So is Iman Ashley. Ezra Goldstein says it's fantastic. So does Crimpline Doubloon. So this is a very, very pleasing wow. That's beautiful. Adds Tony L. And I think this is it's excellent. And the thinking is often sending us his artwork, and it's very game of him to obviously to slave away over something for several hours and send it off to clowns like us to get our reaction. So very game and very bold. So go and find the thinking on Twitter for more of his artwork. That's also where you can find Beatrice too. Beatrice Garrido. We've talked about her work before. She had a little bit of time off to work on other things, but she's back making these Target. They're not even cover artworks. They're painted artwork onto pages of old Target books. I don't know if you've seen this, Adam. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I have seen it, and I didn't realise what it was, actually. I saw it floating around on Twitter, but I wasn't sure what... Yeah. I didn't realise that's what they'd done. They've drawn on the book, right? Actually painted on the book.
That's right. Artwork created on genuine pages. The originals are on genuine pages of original Target books, which, when we first talked about it, did incense some of our panel and people in the chat as kind of a sort of vandalism. These precious,
sacrilege?
Yeah, these precious books, but which I'm sympathetic towards to some extent. But Beatrice has created the most beautiful line of hand-painted portraits, which she offers as prints. I've got one of her prints behind me on the wall of Joe Grant in Planet of the Daleks, and they're presented very much like this high-quality scans of her original artwork. And the latest one there, Ian, is of your favourite master, Roger Delgado.
The best.
In his guise as the vicar in the classic story, The Demons. So, what do you think of this?
It's fantastic. It's great likeness. You can tell that's been hand done, hand painted, or whatever it is.
Lovingly done.
It's just fantastic. It's just, and also he's my favourite master. I mean, none of the masters really equal this guy.
No, you're right. Spot on.
Fantastic as the master.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I just love that piece of art. So these are hand painted then with oils or gouache or something, is it, by the looks of it?
Yeah, I think it's oils, but I could be wrong. She has told me. Sorry, Beatrice, if you watch it.
Either way, I mean, that's just brilliant. And I wouldn't call that sacrilege at all. And nobody loves the Target books more than me. But that's reinterpreting them, isn't it? It's doing something new with them. It's reimagining them. I love that. Brilliant. Did you say that you can get these as prints? Because I've not seen these before. I'm definitely going to look.
You absolutely can. If you go on Instagram to @BuzzingBeeArt, and you'll see examples, all the other examples of Beatrice's work. She's recently done Nicola Bryant as Perry, Janet Fielding as Tegan, and there's a whole lot from last year as well, and other work that she does too on banknotes and things like that. So she'll try really creative things, Sarah.
It's just phenomenal. I love it. I just think what a wonderful idea. And, it's not like it's a piece of the story. It's just like the first page of the book. I can live with that. It's
correct.
I don't view it as sacrilege, but I mean the detail.
Yeah.
It's something.
Well, it's her book. She can do whatever she wants with it.
I think it's very, very romantic. I love, as I say, I love the Target books, and so those for anybody that read the Target books, those first pages, the title pages, were very, very iconic. All this based on a BBC television serial, blah blah blah. And I love the fact that it's a yellow. She's left it as a yellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks very romantic. I love them.
It looks like she's just torn that page out.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, I think she cut. Yeah, she sort of cuts it away with a craft knife, I think, and probably sort of trims it a little to give it a clean area. But what I really like about this, and it's the same, obviously, because I'm an artist, I've drawn and painted people and captured their likenesses. The most difficult thing to do with the likeness is to give it soul. To do that, you have to obviously the texture and the way the skin folds, all that helps. But if you don't get the eyes right, you cannot evoke that person's being. And I think that this is something that Beatrice does very, very well, beautifully on every single piece. But this one in particular, the eyes are very much part of Delgado's performance, Sarah. And I think so they matter even more with this.
They do, and she's absolutely nailed it.
She certainly has.
I can't believe how much of a good job she's done it, because it must be so difficult.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Dan. If you don't get the eyes right, then the structure might be of the face might be right, but the eyes, you've got to get the eyes right. So she's got it right. She's nailed it.
It reminds me a lot actually of Jeff Cummins again. That it's almost photorealistic in its.
It's very similar to Jeff's work actually.
Very similar to Jeff. Yeah, it's
fabulous stuff, Beatrice. Keep them coming, from the sublime to the I'm not going to say the ridiculous, but certainly the hilarious. We've got this one. This is a parody movie poster, which I thought we'd end on. Carry Ogron Holiday. So this is from More Holmes over on Twitter. A wonderful cartoon there featuring Doctor Who monsters. The third Doctor himself there, right at the top. You can see on the top right. Lots of Ogrons. Davros there with a rubber ring.
Oh yeah, Davros.
Lots of in-jokes there. Obviously, this is trying to evoke the classic carry-on British comedy movies of the 60s and the 70s there, with its quad-orientated film poster and the fonts. Everything's all there. The way it's all laid out. The Peter Rogers and Gerald Thomas look, Simon. What do you think? You're a carry-on fan, aren't you?
Because I'm noticing there that Nida is in there. Joe Grant is there in the middle. Adric there at the.
Adric.
Look at Adric. Adric is with his little blue star and Live Forever on his T-shirt.
But I've just noticed the big bogey there in the middle. It's a Dalek mutant by Joe Grant.
Oh yeah, I noticed. God, there's so much to see in this. It's just I love that Nida right in the middle. That Nida's brilliant. And the Ogrons, it's work of genius, isn't it? That's just
who's the one holding the duty free? Who's that? Next to Bertwin.
I think that's an Ogron. I think that's another Ogron.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There is a dude. Actually, there is a dude behind the Ogron too, Adam. I can't quite work out who that is. With a fishing rod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
can't really
I like
see.
the title. It says all your favourites, and in brackets, and
And I look down the bottom, featuring Ogron Sid, Ogron Ken, Ogron Charlie, Ogron Ed, Ogron Brilliant.
Ogron Sid.
Absolutely wonderful. I love the Carry On films. I love movie posters generally, but particularly British stuff from around this time. And I think that More Holmes has just done a brilliant job there, not just giving us a few laughs, but beautifully evoking a time when I think movie posters were just a lot more interesting, Ian.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
A lot more going on. People in the live chat like it too. Peter Hansen says, such fun. Lots of them. The guy with the fishing rod took Nida's
you're right.
Yes.
It's fun. And a seagull has now caught it by the looks of it.
Poor Adric, says Vanessa Law. And this one wins the night for Matthew Pounder. I do agree with you, possibly on that one, Matthew.
I love, again, looking at that Pertwee, I just noticed that Pertwee plays the hijacker, and you see with the gun and the bomb.
Yeah.
It's just
now on the big screen in colour, it says. Brilliant.
We do love our pretty pictures here at Type 40 Live. So yes, fan artists, whether they're cartoonists or portrait artists or digital artists, let us know where we can find them. Drop a link in the comment section maybe, or get in touch with us with where we can find them. But I think that does wrap us up for this time. We've got to shoot. It's the end.
Never going to fit
fabulous
in there.
night.
Great.
What a fabulous show.
Never going to fit in.
Never going to fit in.
Eventually transcendental. So yeah, I suppose, again, thank you everybody for all these fabulous comments in the live chat, for joining in with all of this nonsense, for indulging us, and for speculating with us about even the minutiae of who's back next. Who could it be? Could they be bringing back Trinity Wells? Who knows? The 60th anniversary creeps towards us. Things are going to start getting a lot more colourful and interesting, and they can't keep it all under wraps for too much longer, can they? Stick with Type 40 Live. We give you the best coverage here. I think we give pretty good value for every minute, don't we, in observations, nostalgia, news, and laughs, and a few dick jokes as well. We're going to keep all of that coming if you stick here with Type 40 Live. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. You can find us on social media, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who. And meet us back here next time for more Type 40 Live. Thank you, Adam. You made it. You survived.
I want that Type 40 mug for sure. This has been great.
You're not having mine.
I will get one. I just hope, like, one day I would just love to, if I'm in Brum or if you're in London, I would just love to meet up and have a drink. That's what I'd just love to go to a pub with you guys. But until that happens, this is the next best thing. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, what a fabulous thing to say.
It's a pleasure to have you on.
We'd love to have you back at some point in the future, whether you're over there now in Dallas or when you get back to the UK. And just remind people, because we mentioned it at the top of the show, where can people find your stuff, your videos, your photos, and discover more about the Geeks Handbag?
Yeah, it is all just under the Geeks Handbag. So that's my YouTube channel. That's my handle on Twitter and Instagram. I really like Instagram because I love posting pictures of Doctor Who merch and stuff. So yeah, Geeks Handbag. And although we're taking a little break, I'm very proud of the podcast that I do with Gary, the Big Blue Box podcast. So do go and listen to that as well. And we'll be back when the new series kicks off. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
It's a fabulous podcast. I've always really enjoyed it. So yeah, give my best to Gary as well.
I will do.
I'll make sure all of the links, I have to pull him on as well, but I'll make sure all of the links are in the description of the video and the show notes of the podcast version to it, which you won't be in any doubt if you haven't found Adam. And I can't believe they haven't, because don't take this the wrong way. You've been around a fair bit, haven't you?
I have been around the block. Yeah, I've been around the block then.
All the legends are true. And the legends have been here too. The legend that is Sarah, Starry-Eyed Girl. I'm so glad you could make it for this one. And Ian,
wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, real blasts from the past. Mr. Ian David Diaz too. He said I had nothing to eat. I don't know what's going on.
I did. I had two cakes, whatever.
Doomsday might have put you off your grub. And as always, the very dapper Mr. Simon Horton. Thank you for the diary and for your company as always. And same for the jacket. Oh, look at this! Love this channel, and thank you everybody in the live chat too for all of your support. It means the world to us here at Type 40 Live. It's going to be. We've got a lot planned for the rest of the anniversary year, and we hope you stick around and be part of it. Let us know what you think of it all in the comment section, everything we've spoken about on this edition of the show, and let us know what you'd like to see and hear more of too, or less of. Are you in for Doomsday? You're going to sample it at all? Let us know. We won't judge. We won't judge. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this time. More Type 40 Live next week, same time and space. Don't forget, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, Otherwise, you may forget and miss all of that that's coming next. And hit the cloister bell so you get all those notifications. Check out the podcasts and the playlists. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Hold tight. Take care. Enjoy your weekends. Bye-bye.